Hello and welcome to the Saladcast on Sunday, the 5th of October, 2014. I'm your host, Dan Train. Joining me today, Zachary Burgess.
Woo!
And Robert Kemp.
Gee, sizzle.
There were some words that time. Sort of.
What is a G-sizzle? Is that like when you're like barbecuing gangsters or something?
No, it's my Xbox Live handle if I was in the hood.
G-sizzle. Why would that be your handle in the hood? Your hood handle.
You should make it.
Glacial spoon for rap.
It should be more like G-spizzle.
G-spizzle.
Yeah.
Yeah, sizzle made me think of cooking, and G means gangster, right? So
yeah, I'm straight up G.
As the old song goes.
What was the next line?
The gangster life is the life of me.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna just replace in my mind every time anyone talks about a G, they're talking about a glacier.
Yeah.
No, a glacier.
Yeah.
Original glacier. I rap slow.
G-unit.
The glacier unit.
The glacial unit. Yeah.
Who goes G unit? What the hell is that?
G-unit. No, like that used to be 50 Cent's crew.
Yeah, I know, but who would go That sounds like a, I don't know, like a pantomime or something.
Isn't that what rap is?
Yeah,
Just
I guess it pretty much is with the G unit.
fantasy.
There's so many of them, right?
G-unit. I don't know. How many were in Eminem's crew? I can't remember what was that even called. D12. Probably 12.
I'm guessing 12.
They're like based on the dice.
Or is that a zip code?
Roll a D12.
Everything's coming up Eminem.
So what would that be? It would be like Z-bizzle?
You are really heavy.
John Barlow, he regularly calls me the Dizzle Drizzle.
Of course he does.
That's because he's John Barlow.
Yeah.
Anyway. So
shout out to Jay Bizzle.
Yeah, shout out to Jay Bizzle there if you're listening.
Part of the Lethal Bizzle.
Lethal Bizzle's an actual rapper, isn't he?
I know.
Yeah.
Apparently he was on that hip hop mastermind thing that they did recently. Did you hear about that?
No,
BBC,
I didn't.
BBC did a version of Mastermind, but instead of getting, I don't know, normal people on it, they got like hip hop DJs to
talk about,
to ask questions about hip hop.
Well, that's cool.
I mean, to answer questions. Though. They didn't ask what's his face, John Humphreys questions about hip hop.
So did John Humphreys ask the questions? That's normal.
Apparently, yeah. I haven't actually watched it, but it's
that sounds
the
quite fun.
questions did involve Kanye West and Wu-Tang Clan. I know that much.
Well, yeah, that's fairly mainstream on the rap. The world of hip hop. I quite enjoyed the sort of celebrity mastermind sometimes. I think Adam Buxton did Bowie-based questions, which is kind of cool.
Did he say them all like Bowie?
That would be amazing.
Give your answers like Bowie.
No, I think he was really stressed out. I wouldn't be surprised if these rappers were quite stressed about giving the right answers to the mastermind questions.
Yeah.
I bet they took it very seriously.
How does Lethal Bizzle handle pressure of the chair?
Well, he handles the pressure of being on the mic and improvising. I watched a pretty amazing bunch of improv from like a whole crew of them, including Lethal Bizzle, that was on what's it called? One Extra.
Oh yeah.
That was super cool. And yeah, I can't remember who it was. Anyway, but I'd send that around. It was cool.
Presumably, it's the same sort of having to do a similar sort of mental gymnastics to put together things like that as comedians have to do on the fly when they do their stand-ups. When they're doing like the crowd-based stand-up, I suppose.
That's true. But if you're a comedian, at least if you say something funny, you get a pause for laughter.
Yeah, that's true.
Get time to pause. Yeah, it was.
Well, that's why they hand over to their teammates. So while they're busy doing their rap, the other, they're just going, right, okay, I need to need to figure out what I'm going to say next. It's going to have something to do with this, something to do with this, and then they figure out the lead last, I guess. Like, I need to tie this in real quick.
Yeah. I'm always super impressed by those guys that can do it really quick.
It's a hell of a skill.
So yeah, it actually involved Dizzy Rascal, this thing. I don't know. It must be practice, right? I suppose. I mean, you can't just be. Well, maybe some people are naturally good at that, but
that must be the shittest thing to, like, if you're trying to train yourself to be a good rapper, but this is the first time you've tried to train, you know, and someone walks in on you and you're doing that. It's like, it's the shittest rapper in the world.
Well, that's just it. It's like that. The end of that Jurassic 5 song where he's always in the mirror. He's singing, he's dancing, he's rapping. rapping. Go get your job, boy. That must be how you do it. I mean, there must be so many mediocre rappers, right, that are trying their best, but they can't. That must be not much fun to watch them.
Well, the problem is they probably see Vanilla Ice did it.
Yeah, but that's because he's dumb. I don't know. He has a whole weird look. Like, that's like saying, I mean, like Riff Raff does it or whatever, but he's just mental. Like, he's just a really good, like, character or whatever.
I'm trying to think who else was about. MC Hammer, does he count? Is how far up the Hall of Fame of hip hop does MC Hammer sit?
I don't know. I bet he's somewhat respected. Probably made his money and got out of there.
I'm pretty sure those lyrics are garbage though, but I can't actually remember what any of them are.
Great. It's helpful.
Isn't there a line that's like just, it's the hammer? What? The hammer? Yell, the hammer. Or something? Hammer.
I'm sure.
It's a hammer. What? Hammer.
All right, stop.
Collaborate and listen.
No, I was looking for hammer time. So how's it going, guys? A good couple of weeks.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, not too bad. I think I've been getting into my games for the last 2 days a bit too much because my hands are feeling kind of weird today.
Have you overdone the gamepad?
Arm.
I think I've been over clenching. How have you screwed up your arm? Have you slept on it funny again?
Well, no, that was what was annoying, because it's like when I actually spray my solder, I know about it, because it's like hella painful and stuff, and it's normally caused by sleeping weird. But then it was just like, I think it was like not yesterday when we played Team Fortress, but another day when I played Team Fortress. I think I did something, like I was sitting in a slightly wrong position, and it like made my left arm ache, but not really like ache. It like wasn't actually painful, but there was just something wrong with it. So when I was trying to sleep, I just couldn't sleep, but it wasn't because of pain. So it was really annoying.
That's strange.
And that sucked. And I've slept really badly this week in general, so that's really annoying.
I noticed that a couple of nights in the last few weeks I've woken up and my hand has been like tucked under me in some ridiculous way, like it's been bent in a really uncomfortable fashion. And of course I've slept on it just fine like that somehow. And I wake up in the morning and the first time I move my hand, it's like, oh, what is that? Ah, that's really achy.
Oh, that's painful.
It's like overstretched in the wrong direction or something. It's like, that's weird. I don't know why I've been doing that in the night. Is it a comforter to me or something? I need the pain to feel alive while I sleep.
While you sleep.
Makes perfect sense.
You need that adrenaline rush just to fall asleep.
Yeah, I don't know. Also, like the first moment I felt it this morning, like I don't know, I don't know why, but it was in my thumb, and you don't really use your thumb in excessive Team Fortress periods that much, I suppose. I mean, you're using it to jump, but you don't really go with your thumb. You're more worried about your WASD.
Yeah.
But it's like WASD. I'm going to call it
WASD.
And it's so I tried to squeeze a bit of toothpaste out of the tooth.
Paste.
And a tube of toothpaste, and I pushed it, and there was It was annoying because it was stealthing me basically. It was a troll toothpaste tube because it looked like there was enough of a bulge at the top where I could just squeeze a little bit out of the top and into this. So I put my thumb on it and I'm sort of pushing on it into the thing. Of course, there's fucking nothing there. So I push it for a while. And I go, it's got to be something there. So I push harder.
Okay.
And then at that point, my thumb muscle was like, going, what the fuck are you doing? Ah!
And that's the end of the story.
And during this process, no toothpaste had come out. So that's how I discovered my...
So what did you do? I mean, the tension is unbearable. How did you actually...
I watched the Japanese Grand Prix.
That's not related to anything of that story.
I know,
Did you
but
brush
that's
your
what I did
teeth?
immediately.
I mean, there was no toothpaste.
I just pressed dry.
Did you get a new tube? I mean, come on.
No, there was still stuff in the tube. I just had to go lower down, man. I had to go deeper in the tube.
With your thumb that was in agony.
Yeah. Well, I think I used the other hand.
Let's swap over to the other hand.
I can't remember. I remember the detail up to the pain. Japanese Grand Prix was weird.
Apparently.
Yeah. Sort of rained off, and I don't know what happened to the driver that was...
He got fucked up pretty badly.
Yeah. Like, so what apparently happened is, towards the end, someone managed to aquaplane on the rain. I think it was Sutil, and, like, hit the barrier pretty hard, but he was alright. And then they bring in a JCB on a safety car while everyone's... they're sorting him out. In the meantime, Bianchi goes off at the same corner and apparently hits the JCB, although there was no footage of it at the time.
What, while the safety car was out?
Well, I don't think it was actually a safety car. I think they were only yellow flags. When
Yeah, maybe. It might have been
and
just...
the safety car came out immediately after that.
Yeah,
Right.
it was really unclear. And it's like, this is the weird thing I found about the whole thing, was just like, okay, this is probably... They probably have shit tons of cameras around this track, right? How was there no footage of either, like, what happened to what caused Sutil to go off? But the only thing they showed,
The only thing they showed,
I suppose, was that, like, he just appears from round the corner, sort of already sliding, and then hits the barrier. And it's like, well, I like seeing how these things get started. Like, why did he screw up? That kind of thing.
I'm sure they'd show it if they had it.
Yeah, but then there was zero footage of what happened to Bianchi.
Well, you don't know that there was no footage. They might not just be showing it because he nearly died.
Well, yeah, true, but it's like...
probably a good reason.
But, yeah. But then no one seemed to know what was happening.
Well, that was the weird thing about it, because it was doubly weird that no one seemed to know about it, because that was why the race red flagged and stopped.
Yeah.
It's like they ended the race.
And then there were
like kind of an important fact of, well, like, oh, I guess they just decided to stop because it was wet. I mean, it was pretty fucking wet, but not necessarily a reason just to suddenly stop.
And then they were like, oh yeah, actually, it seems like someone's behind that JCB, but we can't see it because there doesn't seem to be a camera there, or we don't want to show it because it's probably nasty.
There's some photos of the medics and stuff looking in the car.
Mm. So yeah, that was weird. I haven't watched like practically any F1 all year, and then I watched that, and it's like, well, this is weird. It's just strange. It's just...
I mean, I don't know. They always come up with new rules or whatever every time there's a really bad accident and stuff, which is good. But I mean, you'd think by this point they'd know not to like drive heavy machinery into the part of the sand trap that's supposed to slow down cars when they come off the track.
But I'm not sure they had much choice but to remove the... You know, how else would they have removed Sutil's car, I guess?
Yeah, that's true. But I mean...
That's what I saw someone saying, is they should just literally attach tyre wall onto the side of the JCB. That was
yeah, maybe.
I mean, they'll probably just have to change it so that if they have to remove a car, they have to put their safety car out, which will be kind of boring, but...
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like they maybe didn't just get the safety car out fast enough, or it was like it happened on literally the same lap.
Yeah,
right.
Or like immediately afterwards, perhaps, because
before he'd caught up to the safety car,
or before the yellows had turned on or something. Because they don't use yellow flags anymore, do they? They have big glowing signs. Yeah, they're still yellow. Yeah, but it's just like I remember the good old days of a yellow flag. You know, so now it's just a big blinky light. I don't know. Flags are cooler. At least have a motorized flag or something.
Giant motorized wavy flag.
Yeah. I suppose you might not see it in the rain in this case. It was cool that there's like so much spray coming off, like when the red light on the back of the cars blinked. Like it created a sort of massive glow behind the car because there was so much spray there. It's like it just doesn't. I don't know. That looked cool. I like light.
That's definitely the most dramatic in video games, when the modern ones with all the Codemasters ones with all the weather effects and rain and stuff. That looks pretty cool.
Fancy lighting. Oh, that reminds me. I meant to actually segue to games. I meant to actually watch the new F1 trailer that they put out.
Is there a new trailer? Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Want to see what that looks like?
Check out all the cars with their ridiculous new like droopy nose things that look like.
Some of them look real dodgy.
Yep.
Yep. That's not a nose.
I wonder what the aerodynamic reason or what the rule is that means they need to look like that. It must be a combination of like optimum aerodynamics to suit this certain new rule. Because there's obviously not optimum aerodynamics in general. So that would definitely be more like the older shapes, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Wasn't it like they wanted to have the noses be lower so they didn't go under or over cars or something? Or over,
right.
Under or over.
Surely it would have to be
probably over.
But that was why the noses were sort of, I don't know how to describe it, where the slope was, they were sort of flat on top and sloped underneath. Although right. That would scoop up that but then the driving car would probably go over rather than go under and scoop the car you've collided with up. Yeah, tricky. But maybe they thought a cock nose is just a little bit more of a blunt force collision.
So I'm thinking it's like, okay, so the rule is that the nose has to be low, right? I guess, but for some reason to do with the aerodynamics, the low nose, the optimum shape for a low nose is to look weird.
Yeah,
unattractive looking.
Yeah. Also, nothing sounds right this year, does it? Because all the engine changes.
How do they sound it now?
I forget they swapped it. I forget from V8s to V6s or something.
Oh, right.
I can't remember what it is, but they sound like the revs are basically a lot lower.
Right.
So they sound basically just sort of like loud cars, I guess, as opposed to the sort of the classic
whining of doom. Yeah. Oh, that's a shame. They must be. I mean, are they just as fast then? That's quite impressive.
Yeah, I think so.
Take away, all this stuff. You must get a lot less power out of a V6 than a V8, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they aren't as fast. I really don't know. I don't pay that close attention.
No. Anyway.
F1! It's still a thing.
Have you been watching any sports, Egg? Any of the sports? The football started.
Yeah, that was quite a while ago, to be honest. It's been like 7 games or something.
So you've been watching the old lever ball?
Watching a lever ball?
Just sat there on its own.
Have you been watching the day of the match? Or whatever it is?
Yes. Well, sometimes. I mainly, I've only been bothering to try and watch it live when I've been looking at the BBC News page and seen a score that's interesting. Because it's like, oh, how the fuck did Manchester United screw up this time? Well, I guess I was kind of interested to see. Actually, that's all I really care about, is watching Manchester United continue to be shit. It's like, yes, finally. Fuck them guys.
I didn't... A bit of me wanted to watch the NFL thing at Wembley.
Yeah, I've thought about that as well. But...
Was that on TV? The Raiders, was it?
I think BBC covered it.
Who was playing? I think it was the Raiders.
It's not as cool unless it's the Super Bowl, though.
It sounds dumb unless it's the Super Bowl. I so wish we got the American coverage, here.
Well, the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Because the number of times they have to cut away just makes it real tedious towards the end. It's like they would be normally filled with ridiculous adverts.
Oh, you were just hoping for the adverts. So you don't actually want the commentary or anything. You just want the ads.
They have the American commentary anyway.
Oh, right.
When they show it, but it's when they cut away
To go back to the studio.
To go into the studio for a bit because they have to call so many timeouts because of the rules for advertising at the Super Bowl.
And
I mean,
because of how football,
football
works in general.
Then, there are just plenty of times where the BBC are forced to go back to the studio and they have their pundits talk about the stuff that's already sort of been talked about. And after a while, they really run out of things to say.
Well, they never get to finish a thought. That's their main problem when they do that. Because they don't really know how long it's going to be.
Show an ad or two, and then I guess.
And then the other football that I've been watching is on YouTube the highlights of the American soccer, because that's always funny. Watch these slightly shitter people be shit. Apart from like the occasional footballers that I know who have like come from England or whatever, and I'm like, oh look, those are the non-shit ones. What's right? I guess. Well, it's like Henri.
So they in like teams that do well then?
Yeah, obviously. Yeah. You only need one or two of the good English players. Even though they're like incredibly old by the time they get to the American League. Like Henri and...
You know Henri's French, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. Okay. There's been other ones.
One of those good English players like Henri.
He might as well have been an English player because it's like he played in England for practically the entire time.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. You mean like the British League?
Well, yeah.
Who's he playing for?
He's playing for New York Red Bulls.
Red Bulls. It just doesn't seem to fit. Oh, is it actually sponsored by the drink?
By Red Bull, obviously.
Oh, right. Okay. Jeez. Yeah. That's going a bit far, isn't it? Like actually naming the team after a...
Well, all the American stuff is like... If it's not the literal team name, then it's the stadium name. It's incredibly sponsored as well. And when you're watching the American coverage, all like it's not like adverts as in like normal adverts, but they have all their like in commentary adverts where it's like save of the game sponsored by some local goddamn company that I don't know about.
Oh yeah,
save of the game and dumb thing of the game.
That's really bizarre.
In the game, sponsored by Bed Bath & Beyond.
And there was one I was watching where it was like the kickoff was sponsored by Pepsi. Like that's a bit lazy.
But Pepsi's a good one, right? Because they could use like Hawkeye or that their graphics technology and just put the Pepsi logo in the center ring
or on the ball. On the ball. Pepsi logo being kicked around.
That would be amazing.
Well, they could do that. They just have a zoom in camera that zooms in on the ball, and then it just, and then it's like, okay, this is fine. But then it keeps zooming in, and like, what's going on? And then in the middle, like, as far as they zoom in, there's this microscopic Pepsi logo that slowly takes up your screen, and eventually your life.
Okay. And then, like,
imagine
the Seattle Sounders are sponsored by Xbox, and their strip is like lime green.
The Sounders.
Yep, that's what they're called. I don't even know what the fuck that's meant to mean. Apparently their fans are really loud and their stadium enhances the loudness, but I'm not sure that's why they would have been called the Sounders.
Yeah, that must have.
Where are they from again?
Seattle.
Seattle Sound. Oh, I know why. It's because there's a sound is like a body of water, right?
Yeah. The water medium of sound.
Oh, I didn't. Yeah. Okay, right.
Maybe. I guess that makes sense.
Because Seattle is in that big sound, isn't it? Like, well, like it's to the edge of, so it's not actually on the ocean. It's on the sound. It's like a weird bay that's like enclosed by mountains and shit. Because of the start of World in Conflict.
Exactly. But yeah, all the American teams have dumb names, really, and dumb things that they have to like. There's New England Revolution, which, is about the revolution. But their thing is, like, every time they score a goal, they have Civil War reenacting guys firing muskets. Every time! And then the camera always cuts to them to see them do the shooting.
Bang! That's kind of cool.
You think they should bring that to the Premier League, like retarded celebrations?
Well, yeah. The teams do have most British teams do have a stupid name as well, aren't they? It's like they don't ever refer to it.
They're not a stupid name that's been created as a stupid name. It's a stupid name that comes from.
Yeah, well, like the fans have given them, like the Arsenal Gunners, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's because they're the Arsenal.
But then they could have guys.
Guns.
They could have guys with cannons or something.
They could.
That's what we should do.
I was looking up like the history of Arsenal because it's like down the road from me and it always blocks my way home when there's a big match on. Like it was the It was the derby, Tottenham Arsenal match the other day.
Yeah.
So you're living near the arse.
Indeed,
From the switch to the arse.
I'm 2 stops from the arse, but and it's called Arsenal Station as well, on the tube, and it's named after the football club. But I thought, maybe it's named, the area or whatever is at Arsenal because that's where the Arsenal was, where they built the guns and stuff, and that's why, and the team is named after that. But it turns out the Arsenal is in Woolwich, right? Woolwich Arsenal, and that's on the other side of the Thames. It's freaking miles away. It's nowhere near where Arsenal Football Club is.
Well, it's only because the team was originally from the Arsenal, but then
that's right.
That's not necessarily where they played.
No, presumably they had to move to somewhere where they could actually get a stadium built at some point, I guess.
Well, I guess, but they completely moved a long time ago, over 100 years ago. They moved to North London.
A lot of football teams have moved into weird places where it's just how did you even end up in this stadium, in this random place?
Colchester Stadium, not really in Colchester.
It has barely a stadium. It's a football pitch with some stands.
Yeah, what's the definition of stadium then, by that logic? It's
maybe it's when it's completely enclosed.
Or is it an arena when they do that?
But that's all done. And not that interesting. Ipswich aren't completely sucking so far this year.
Oh, really?
Well, they're 8th or something.
What league are they in these days?
Championship.
Yeah.
Right.
They've been there forever. They're always average.
Yeah.
Did they?
It's good to be average.
Did they get relegated at any point from the Championship then?
I don't think they've
Not
been lower
for
than the Championship.
a long time, no.
Oh, right, okay.
Because I think they was. I'm not sure if they've ever actually not been in the Championship since it was called Division 1.
Championship, yeah.
No, yeah, perhaps not.
Norwich go up and down. So now we're getting the stupid East Anglian derby this year again.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Because they're back, because they got relegated from the Premiership last year. Although it looks like they're going to go straight back up because they're top already.
Yeah.
Fuck them.
There needs to be a new league just for Norwich, so they could just sit there, not quite making it to the Premiership ever.
Well, that's the whole problem with the constantly being promoted and relegated, the malarkey. That's the whole problem with the Premiership, actually, isn't it?
Might be alright if Man United
the teams
keeps
in the
fucking
Premiership
up.
are too good. So it's the teams that come up from the Championship just go straight back down again.
I guess that's the problem with any league system, really. It's bound to happen.
Well, it's not such a giant disparity in the lower leagues. But once you get to the Premiership where you spend millions and millions of pounds...
It does become more... this has always annoyed me about club football and why I've never really got into it. It's just, it is a money game at the top, and it's...
Well...
And more so than a skill game, really.
That's another reason why it's funny to watch Man United suck this year.
Yeah.
Because they spent 80 million on one guy and they still been shit.
Well, they always say it's it's not just about the players, it's making that player work with your team, and if you have bad coaches and bad managers, then none of that might... Or if the players are just shitheads, which is, probably quite likely.
Well,
and then none of that will work.
That was the Manchester...
That's the reason why England suck, man.
That was the Manchester United problem. It's Alex Ferguson retired and then it all went horribly wrong, predictably. Because apparently he was the only thing holding it all together.
Nobody cares.
Yep, that was football. That's okay.
No one cares.
Have you seen the trailers for FIFA 15?
I haven't seen the trailers. I've just seen that goddamn advert over and over.
Whichever.
The one with Messi, where it has moments where it's reflections of the screen on top of the players in the game as they're passing the ball around. And then he does a dramatic overhead kick in his couch. Oh,
no, yeah, I've seen that. That's what I was referring to. Yeah, I quite like that.
It's terrible.
That's quite cool. The ones with the regular guys, assuming the roles of the football players, and they're getting beaten up in their living room by being tackled.
It's better when it's the long version where you actually see all that, rather than the short version where you get 2 seconds of a guy's face in the screen and then it's just Messi, and that's it. And then it doesn't make very much sense.
Unfortunately, whilst perusing another reputable online video games website, was subjected to the 2.5-minute version of that ad, and it's like it was unskippable, and it's like, oh my god, this is going on forever, but it's actually not that bad an advert. Really.
Do you say another reputable, like our one is reputable, and this one is also reputable?
Yeah, but are we? Are we not striving for some kind of reputation? Some kind of reputation.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, it's reputable, as in it can have a reputation at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying we're in disrepute.
No,
we're in repute.
You've got to believe it to be it. Are we not all on board on this? What the fuck are we doing?
Okay.
Video games.
I've had a sudden realization.
Yeah.
The whole last hour of this podcast.
It's not an hour. Jeez.
I've wasted 5 years of my life.
Okay. This is a podcast about video games, and we have news for you guys. Well,
we don't have news for you guys at all.
We do have things that aren't what you've been playing. We have a whole section.
I mean, Dan's been conventioning.
Yeah, me and you have been conventioning, and I've been double conventioning.
You've been double conventioning, yeah.
Yeah, but we won't.
Let's talk EGX. We all went to EGX, except for Zach.
2/3 of us went to EGX.
Yeah. We had the Eurogamer Expo 2014. I'm not sure they really needed to shorten it to eggs, though.
Well, they shortened everything.
I think the only reason they shortened it, I think, is to make the hashtag more convenient.
Do you think?
Well, all the conventions have weird shortening, regardless of what sort of convention it even is.
I suppose. But eggs? Really?
Yeah,
if they're going to say that, they should have really got like Sega sponsorship and had like Eggman all over it or something.
Well, I mean,
but then does that mean they're not unbiased? I guess
they couldn't really avoid having. I mean, what else could you have if you weren't going to use X for
Eurogamer
Expo?
Yeah.
But what are you going to have? You're going to have another E.
Eeg.
The actual branding was sort of cool. It was a bit kind of wipeouty.
Yeah, it's got that cool future font look to it. It's like that's kind of cool.
They have an X that looks like a paintbrush stroke that seems to turn up all the time. I don't know why X has always get done like that.
You mean like the delete symbol?
Yeah, or like various fighting games do that.
So isn't the new something X? Or isn't the new Xenogears X or whatever it's called? Isn't that done in brushstrokes?
Yeah, probably.
Or
it's like why
the X is always bigger at least, isn't it? On a game title. It's like they always make the X super large. It's like F-Zero X, and the X is enormous. It's Mortal Kombat X.
It's only X that becomes the brushstrokes. It's like, what about all the other? I guess it's because it's just like 2 lines. It's like if you were thinking about the other Roman numerals, like if you had a V, that wouldn't look as good in a brushstroke because there's a point.
Yeah.
I actually don't have any games in view. I don't think they have an X in them in the way that we'd want it to be. This convenient new seating arrangement means I can just sort of...
you can still be terrible in turning around and looking at your goddamn wall of games and sounding weird.
Well, yeah, hang on. Let's have a look. How is the... Well, okay, does this count? I'm looking at Street Fighter X Tekken.
Well, that's the other way to do X's, when it's like the explosion X.
It's just make them out of fire.
That's like the Smash Brothers, only that's more of a cross rather than an X.
The fire and lightning.
And there's the Xbox way of ripping up corners, like scoring an X and then making it 3D by pulling the corners.
I don't think that's a way. I don't think that's a type. I think that's only been done like once.
Yeah, that's.
I don't know. I've seen that.
Xbox branding, isn't it?
Well,
Did
yeah.
Else do that?
Well, I think it was done before Xbox did it.
What does that have? Does that X have any weirdness to it, or is it just the word extreme?
Conveniently, I don't have my copy of that anymore because it's not my copy, so it's not dirtying up that shelf.
Dirtying.
Was it an extra? Was it extreme? Or was it extreme? Like spelled.
Well, that's what I was trying to remember. Whether the X had anything weird, even if it had an E before it, would it just have the X be bigger for no reason? Because it's extremeness.
What about Excite?
No.
I don't think Excite Track will be extreme enough to have anything.
Oh!
Oh, it's totally brushstrokes, and it's the X after the E in Excite.
Yep.
And it's huge.
And it's huge.
Excite truck.
Oh, wow.
There we go, we found one.
Point proven.
Yeah, I was totally right about that. So anyway, they didn't have that at EGX, it was a different thing.
No, it was just an X in the same font as the E and the G. They played it safe. Oh no, my leg is cramping. Oh no.
You're sitting on it. What are you doing?
Oh no, bend. Talk about yourself.
This is going so well.
What did you do at EGX?
So it was a large, convention. It took up most of Earl's Court Exhibition Centre, as far as I could tell. Which I
fine. Sorry, no!
You're talking to your Xbox
turned on.
No!
XCOM, turn off.
Right, now Rob has to go full Mexican Rob to deal with this situation.
Oh dear. I think that exhibition centre is going to be demolished, actually. So it might be one of the last things in there. Indeed.
Okay.
That wasn't even close.
What, XCOM?
But I said it's fine.
XCOM is fine.
The next word is not on.
I don't understand what you meant by XCOM is fine.
As in, it doesn't have the brushstroke X. It just has.
Oh right, okay.
You should stop saying X.
Yeah. So yeah, and
we're talking about this goddamn convention already.
Yeah, it was big.
Okay. Then.
This is the second year running I've been, but this was Dan's debut.
Debut, first time. Yeah, came in the afternoon. Came and hang out with you guys.
Yeah, we went and checked out some games, but I went with DJ Kipling of Twitch fame, and we did have that slightly awkward moment where Pete randoms that Kip has never met before on his Twitch stream recognized him, and he was like, yes? Like an air of confusion about what was happening. He's a mild celebrity.
He's a mild celebrity.
I got a shameless plug from my brother, DJ Kipling. Go watch him. He's cool.
You can't actually go watch him at the moment because he hasn't recorded anything in the last 2 weeks, so all his past broadcasts have disappeared off Twitch.
Well, you could lurk in his chat room really oddly.
Yeah, really oddly.
So we go through chronologic. It's probably easier, I suppose. We were there to check out some of this year's releases before they get released, some of which are now out. So we can talk about them slightly, I suppose, without having to buy them. Woohoo! There was so the one we were all most interested in, the one that we wanted to try and queue jump the most, I guess, apart from Danny, we're probably not that interested. But Kip's Eye and Jammy, we would play Call of Duty in multiplayer.
Good job remembering the name of that game.
Yeah. What's the subtitle? Oh, it's Advanced Warfare this year. Yeah. We played a couple of rounds of multiplayer of that, and it's it's Call of Duty. Despite all the changes they've made, it still feels like a Call of Duty game. It's still slightly, even on land settings, like the hit detection is still, what you expect from it, and it feels very familiar. And that's not to say it's bad. It plays well. The maps that we played seemed pretty good. We played the stupid bombing run mode, whatever it's called, the basketball thing, on the level that they keep advertising it about for, with the Golden Gate Bridge in the background and the tidal waves coming in. Well, not tidal waves, but big ass waves. And that mode seems fine. Seems to work okay. No one was really paying much attention to the game type, though. It seems like people were just like casually running around with the ball, and the rest of the people were like I was trying at least to always go for the ball. Like it was like let's try and do this game type properly, and I'd be alone. And it's like, oh, no one plays COD properly. But so takeaways is like there's a lot that I didn't understand because I haven't played it before, and you don't get time to have it explained to you. So some of the exosuit stuff I didn't fully grasp. I worked out you could do like lateral dashes easily enough. Like if you're pushing left or right and push your jump button, then you'll dash instead of jumping, which can get you out of trouble, which is kind of nice.
Kind of like the old UT double tap thing.
Yeah, very much like that. It's a bit like when you're playing a Japanese mech game and they sort of drift along the floor for a bit,
right,
with some kind of booster at your feet. It feels like that, which is cool because that's a cool feeling. It's you travel about 10 meters or something doing that. It's kind of neat. Yeah, and I was kind of the weapons feel somewhat familiar. Although all of us agreed, out of all the weapons on show, the one that is most like the starting rifle from Titanfall was the easiest to use. So we're just like, well, let's just use that. I did try my hand on the crazy suit they have with the 2 Gatling guns that they've been showing. It's like, oh yeah, you can get this suit that's just got 2 massive Gatling guns either side, and it's like it's impossible to use because it's so inaccurate. It's like I don't know how you would pull that off if anyone remotely is paying attention to where you are, and unless you surprise them, it's completely useless as far as I can tell. Sure, admittedly, this is incredibly brief taste of what it was, but I just could not get the grips of it, so I went back to the good gun. And it was also, kind of hard to judge the quality in some respects because there was one guy we were playing with who was quite clearly a ridiculously good player with a sniper rifle, which kind of, upset the balance of what was going on a little bit. Because everyone else kind of wasn't that good. Myself definitely not that good. That sucked bad.
Yeah, I found that, if you're playing, there's always one guy, right? Well, not always, but if you've only got 5 minutes to try this game and then there's one guy who's
it's like if you have one guy who's really good, and that kind of just ruins... I don't think that's a very good assessment of what that game is if you get put in that situation. It's like... Because you can't really play it how it was intended, I suppose, if you just...
I guess what I would do is just try out as many features as I could before I died, because I know there's no point trying to win.
That's pretty much what I was trying to do. I couldn't figure out what some of the, because your exosuit has, a power as well. So, some of them can double jump, some of them can hover. But you also get these, weapons that you can hold. Some of them can produce a battery-powered shield. And there was something else that I couldn't figure out what it was. It just seemed to run a bar down when I held down the button. I had no idea what it was doing. So there's a lot to discover in this. And it did sort of I got a sneak. They didn't really want you to see much of the menus and stuff. But the quick period of time you get to faff around a bit, I sort of saw that the unlock progression is a little random this time. It seems like you just get drops of stuff. So the order in which you unlock things might be a little bit unpredictable rather than the sort of level-based structure that they've had previously, where it's like, oh, at this level you'll unlock this, you'll have the ability to unlock this gun, or this gun will just unlock for you, and if you use this gun enough, then you'll get all the attachments. It's like, no, that seems to have been done away with, and that you'll get stuff in a somewhat random order, which might encourage you to use more stuff, because you'll get it and then you won't stick to it necessarily because you won't have the attachments for it, I guess.
Right.
But at the same time, that means if you find a gun you like, presumably there's no way of just getting the stuff for that gun. So I don't know. It's it's probably much of a muchness. Probably doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, but it's a change. But the thing I was most impressed with is actually the sound design is super cool.
Really?
It's the visuals are whatever, they're kind of like Ghosts was, it's like Call of Duty but a bit sharper. But I thought the sound of the guns was like they've added a sort of futuristic filter to everything. So the guns are a bit more pew pew, and when things explode, there's something cool about how everything sounds. It's really hard to explain. Okay,
there's some kind of sci-fi-ness to the action somehow, but just in the sound design there.
Just in the sound, but it sounds we were wearing pretty high quality headphones while we were doing this. I think they were Turtle Beach kit, and it just sounded awesome. And in a way, that's kind of the thing I've always appreciated about the Call of Duty series. Their sound design is always awesome. Yeah, you remember. I just remember playing Call of Duty 4 the first time I got my surround sound set up. And it was just like, oh, this is amazing. And it's like, they do a really good job with that stuff. They always do.
But not as good as Battlefield. Still.
What? I don't know. Yeah, Battlefield sounds more realistic. I'll give it that. But there just feels like there's more going on sometimes in the set pieces of a Call of Duty sequence. You know, they put more into making Call of Duty sound just awesome as opposed to sounding real. Battlefield sounds real, which is, again, to be commended.
Well, the stuff in 2142 sounded pretty cool in a sciencey way, particularly like that the EU sniper rifle and stuff that had a weird,
true
kind of
and that predates, I suppose, COD 4 and this new generation of stuff.
I think that's what I thought of when you said about the guns being normal guns, but having a kind of sci-fi tinge to them. I immediately thought of like 2142. Yeah,
you're not wrong. It's a little bit like that. They sounded a bit more thumpy than I remember from Battlefield. But I don't know. It seems cool. I'm picking it up this year, but just because Sledgehammer's new at this, so that means it will probably be an interesting year regardless. But the big one is next year when Treyarch come back, and I think they've said it's going to be Black Ops 3.
Right, they've given up on different names for stuff. Stick with the blops.
Well, that's what Treyarch have made themselves known for, isn't it? They did
World at War, now, I guess,
and then Blops, and they haven't left Blops. And Blops 2 was an excellent game, so it's high hopes for that one. But let's give Sledgehammer a chance. I'm intrigued. I may have gone off on Infinity Ward, but let's see what Sledgehammer do. So what else did we check out? I'm trying to think. What did we do next? We all tried the the Elite Dangerous demo.
Yeah, so you guys played it, and then I played it later on because that was probably the thing I wanted to see most. So probably. Anyway, what did you think, Rob?
Well, to be honest, it's hard to take anything away from that demo,
right?
Because it doesn't really get much. It's not what the game was about. It's basically it was a dogfight. Essentially, It's like here's a guy flying around, shoot him down, and then if you if you were good enough at it, they would go, okay, well you did that real fast. Let's put you in a slightly harder combat scenario where the guy will fight back more aggressively. So I did that as well, and it's it's interesting because it's different from most space combat that I think I've ever played, and then it's a much calmer pace.
Well, I think it would probably get hectic when there's like more than one ship, but the actual motion of it and stuff.
Yeah, the way everything moves and stuff, and then the guy was trying to explain to me, it's like, oh yeah, it's because it's like we're modeling thrust, correctly. So it's like if you push your thrust up too high, then your steering gets rubbish, for instance. But if you put it too low, then you don't have any thrust, and you're just drifting. Yeah. So it's like you have to keep it in this sweet spot that is conveniently shown on screen if you want max maneuverability.
Awesome.
And it's so it seems kind of cool. I found it. It's been a long time since I've played Elite, and I found that radar tricky to.
Right.
read.
Yeah. I actually found it. I liked it better than the free space radar. I think I quite like that. Their radar.
I'm trying to think how did X-Wing did it? Because did it like have a period right in the center or a spot right in the center where it's like, okay, this is what you can see dead ahead.
X-Wing did it really weirdly because the way X-Wing did it was it had two circles. It had in front of you and behind you. So,
I remember. Yeah. No, what's the one I'm thinking of where there's like a circle in the middle which is dead ahead, like what
that's free. That's free space too.
That's the free space one.
Kind of sections.
So you need to like if it was in the upper section, you knew you had to pull up that kind of thing, and if it was around the edge, it's behind you somewhere. So just do a 180 basically.
Yeah.
I really liked that system, and it's I found that super easy to read, and I found this one's probably more useful. And I'm sure at some point I used to be good at reading that style radar because that's how the original Elite worked, right? And I'm sure there's been other games that have used radars like that. But in three-dimensional space, I just found that really difficult to get the hang of it. And the guy was saying, no, you want to pull up, not go down. But it's like, but it says he's below me. It's like, and he was sort of like going, no, just pull up. And it's like. So I don't know if I was being instructed wrong or if I was just reading it completely off, but I had a hard time getting my bearings with it.
I think it probably takes a bit getting used to if you're used to the Free Space 2 style one. It's quite different, I guess. But it's also quite big, which is kind of cool. You can kind of see it. Not that the Free Space 2 one was small or anything. It's in the same place. But, I don't know, it just seemed a little bit... Like, it's very prominent, so that's kind of cool. Because you need it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what they were running it on, but it was obviously, it's obviously a PC, but it was incredibly smooth. I was playing it. I didn't play it on the Oculus. Kippers played it on the Oculus and said it was amazing, but man, you need the better version of the Oculus in order to enjoy it.
I played it on the Oculus.
I think they're only demoing it on DK1s.
I couldn't. I mean, I hope so because I'd never used an Oculus before. But
describe your experience with Oculus.
So it was super cool. I mean, it was much more natural than I expected. I mean, the resolution is terrible, like because which was bad at first because it was a loading screen which had something written that you had to read and you basically couldn't read it. And he was like, "Yeah, you can actually lean in to like read to get closer to the plane of the thing that you need to try and read." So I was doing that. But once I started flying around, it didn't really. I mean, it bothered me that I couldn't read the controls properly. I couldn't actually read much in the cockpit very well. Like I couldn't find that. Like what you were, I think if I'd been playing it on the screen, I would have seen that marker for the sweet spot of the throttle, but I couldn't see that at all because I wasn't looking for it. I didn't know it was there, and it was like, there wasn't enough detail there. But for actually looking around the environment and stuff, because it's super cool for a space game, because when he's above you, you can just look straight up and stuff.
Yeah, I mean that's appealing to me, like the ability to look around and just sort of get your. Actually see where he is and then go, right, I need to go that way. Okay, go up to him. And then that sounds awesome.
Because you're in like an asteroid field as well in that demo. So it was quite cool to look up and see, oh shit, I'm pulling up into an asteroid. I should probably fly around that and stuff like that. So it was kind of cool. And then, but I defeated the guy and then he was like, well, you got some time left. Why don't you like look around the ship? And I was, or whatever. So raise your head and look around. And because it's elite, you're not in a tiny like fighter, you're actually in relatively large ships.
Cargo ship. Yeah.
Exactly. So you look up from the cockpit and it's like, oh, well, I'm actually in quite a big room, actually. There's space here, either side and stuff. And I looked to my left and there was a keyboard. And then I stupidly put my hands out to like type on the keyboard. I was like, oh, wait, no, I'm not actually here. That was dumb. I knew.
That would just be how you'll have to actually set up your room when you play.
Yeah.
Put your actual keyboard where the keyboard in your cockpit is. That probably would still be incredibly confusing if you did actually reach over there and then you felt like a normal keyboard instead of this weird sci-fi keyboard.
Yeah. I mean, it looked like a normal keyboard, sort of, but sci-fi. Oh, and also I had that thing that I'd read on Rock Paper Shotgun where you're sitting in a normal office chair, but then in the game your feet are like you're lying so your feet are like raised up in front of you because you're lying in a kind of ejection seat type thing. So there's this weird disconnect where you should be leaning back if you're playing the game.
Oh, right.
Which is kind of a bit weird.
You could set that up. But this is I was sort of impressed about, as you say, the fluidity of it all. I quite liked the precision required.
Yeah, you had to be quite delicate with that. Because they had some quite nice joysticks. They were HOTAS sticks, weren't they? Like Cytec ones.
Yeah, Cytec stuff. But this is both the good and bad thing here. Is like with that setup, it felt great.
Yeah,
but without it, will it be as good? It's
probably not.
Will it even be playable with that like level of precision? Like, I'm not sure you could pick up a controller. Perhaps the game would have to be scaling for what control you used.
Yeah, I reckon you could do it with some weird like acceleration factors and stuff and dead zone stuff.
Yeah,
maybe probably improve it. But even so, it's never going to be as good as when you got the proper setup. All that demo was demonstrating was like the feel of the flying around and the combat and stuff and the way it looked and stuff. And I was totally sold on all of that. And then I know there's a lot more to the actual game.
Yeah, so, it's a weird slice, isn't it? Because it's the most demoable part, but that's not really what Elite's about. Elite's about carving your path through the universe, doing random trades.
But the thing is, it could have been
getting pulled out of hyperspace by giant pink saucers. That's what Elite's about.
That is what Elite's about. But I mean, it's encouraging that the part of the game that it's not necessarily you wouldn't think it's about has been done so well. It's not like Free Space or what was the game? No, Freelancer, where not that the combat in that is bad, but I mean it's not like it doesn't have much feel to it. You sort of drag your mouse around and
It's also kind of nice that the controls were a bit more like, I don't know, like a proper jet in a way.
Yeah, exactly. You had to bank.
Some like flight as a space sims, like the yaw ability seems to be just as good as your roll
as
and
pitch,
isn't it?
Which is done.
So like it's nice to be have to roll and pitch.
Why is it dumb?
Well, in space, it doesn't matter, does it? I guess.
Exactly.
But
in space, they should all be the same. Depending on the actual design of the ship, I guess. Well, this ship doesn't have good yaw thrusters.
Well, yeah, maybe you're right. But in the design of it's easier to do on a joystick, I suppose. Like to think roll and pitch than the twist.
The twist
action
is
for yaw.
The joystick that's weird.
But then I suppose I think the demo was taking place in the classic ship, the classic Elite Wedge.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how well that would. There's probably less space to have thrusters on it to make it yaw. I don't know.
That depends whether they even have bothered to think about that, because that would be like a cool feature.
That would be awesome if they have, yeah. Or is that something that's only for Star Citizen to worry about? I don't know.
Yeah.
What would be a cool feature?
To actually have the ship designs actually have like different thrust profiles, where it's like, the ship has better yawing.
I wouldn't be surprised
rather than wider.
If there was some stuff like that. Maybe not super, I mean, I don't think they go to the lengths of having, maybe they would in Star Citizen, but of having the actual forces come literally from the point on the hull where the thruster is.
Yeah.
Because then you have to balance making it look cool and also making it actually flyable.
Yeah. Oh, it's interesting, though. It's worth a...
Yeah.
I bet it's something they've toyed with or have thought about, because it's just if they're going for the whole realistic thrust idea, that maybe that's crossed their mind at some point.
Yeah, I think they're going for a nice balance of like a bit more, in inverted commas, realism combined with, fun feeling stuff. I mean, it's a short demo, but
really want to see how that turns out. Do we know when that's due?
They say it's this year. I wouldn't be surprised if it did slip,
Huh.
but they say it's this year. They keep maintaining it's this year. I think they promised it this year in their Kickstarter or something, probably, and they're not backing down on that. But I mean, I don't know.
But yeah,
I don't actually care. I want it to be done.
No. As long as it's good. Then
exactly.
Take as long as you need, guys.
That's my feeling. Because you can already play it right now if you pay £50 for a beta, which isn't that much more than your average freaking retail game sometimes.
No.
So if you're desperate and you can afford if you're already spending £130 on a joystick or whatever, then you're not going to worry about spending £50 on a beta. End of the year.
We've probably talked more about it than collectively we all played it. So
probably, but I think it inspires a bit of talking. But I'm definitely going to get into that, I think. Anyway.
Cool game. What else did we do? I'm trying to think if we actually managed to get anything else done before you turned up. I'm not sure we did. So we checked out an indie booth. To see what was going on, because I really wanted to see if they had any Smash Brothers Wii U there, and we had a good look around. And unless you were lucky enough to be called on stage to play one of their insanely loud stage demos, no, they didn't have it on show.
Not that we could tell. I didn't see it anywhere. They had the 3DS one, of course.
Yeah, a couple of booths for the 3DS.
But I asked and David went on the Sunday, and I think it might have turned up by then. So I'm a bit. Anyway.
Maybe, because we went fairly early, I suppose. We were second day.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Yeah, I had a proper look around, and I just couldn't find it unless they changed all the setup they had for the America 8 tournament to actually play Smash Bros. But
I think they might have done, because that's what it sounded like from what David was saying. So, but anyway.
Yeah, so I'm a bit gutted about that, but it's what they were showing on the big screen looked good anyway. I mean, it's so nice that it's sharp now. I mean, come on, HD Smash Bros. You could see what's going on. It's amazing.
I can't believe anyone managed to play that game ever. I mean, on the N64, it's like like 4 pixels in a corner or something. Well, not that.
Oh man! Oh no, the N64 like they got away with it because it was it was a lower res than what the modern the GameCube and Wii versions have been. But it's the fact that it was a slower game and like the actual sizes of the stages were smaller and things like that. It's they actually played to the strengths of that system quite well, and then obviously when they had more pixels to work with, they made everything a bit more nuts. That, from what I can tell, that hasn't happened this time. They've kept it at the same level of nuts, but that's still good enough for me.
So in games that we did see,
we played Splatoon.
Indeed, we did.
That game was really interesting. It's like I really like where they're going with their crazy mechanics because it's so different.
It looks really good. It looked even better than the introduction kind of video from E3.
Yeah, this is the thing. Seeing it in person is much better than seeing any of the videos I've seen of it online. Like the frame rate, unless you've seen it at, I don't know, the full 720 60 that it's running at, it doesn't look the same unless you're right there. And then you see it, and it's real cool. It's the only thing that is weird about it is I struggled with the controls a bit. But that's presumably something you can learn. But it's like the gyro aiming was a bit weird.
I definitely did.
I know you can, like, in theory, turn that off, but it's you had to try it. And it's like I can sort of see that actually it will be faster to line up shots using the gyro aiming. Ooh, what was that noise?
Oh, I think that was me. Sorry.
Okay, sorry. It's all right. I thought something was going wrong with the recording there for a second, but so I'm sure you could line up shots real fast with the gyro if you got used to it.
Yeah,
but it's just so it felt alien.
It's just something that definitely takes getting used to because you were aware of it, and then like within about 30 seconds you've forgotten about it for some reason, and you're pointing at the floor.
And then you realise you can't look. Yeah, and then you realise you can't look up and down with the right stick, so you have to use the gyro. And then you go, oh, okay. And then, but I still kept fucking it up, and it's
yeah.
And I couldn't quite get to grips with how the squid stuff comes into play, and there's a real tight interplay of all the mechanics that just is going to take practice.
Definitely
to get good at.
I mean, I just kept going up to a part of the map that was like inaccessible, and she kept saying, "You're going in the wrong way. You can't actually go that way." It's like, oh, okay, because there was a ladder or something. It was like, well, let's climb this and get a high vantage point. It was like, nope, you can't actually climb that.
No,
okay.
There's no climbing.
Yeah. Anyway,
you have to, unless you can ink it, and then you could probably ink your way up it. But
well, that was the thing. It was a ladder that was behind a barrier, and I thought, oh, okay, but you could ink and then you could get under the barrier using the squid, but then there's nothing to do there. So it was totally pointless. Anyway, I was at the wrong end of the map.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out the control for the boost start particularly.
No, I couldn't get that to work.
Like I just kept mashing the screen, and it would eventually sort of work. It's like, I need to join my compadre over here. He seems to be in a spot above her. How do I get there? And I tap his icon. And it's like, okay, nothing's happening. What do I do? Do I hold it? No, nothing's happening. What am I supposed to be doing? So I just mashed it until something happened. So I don't know if that was a glitch or if something was going a bit wrong or if there's some trick I'm missing. I really don't know. But it looks cool. I'm really excited. I love the style of it. I love the fact that it's just good guys versus bad guys.
Yeah.
In the wording,
straight up,
the bad guys win.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
And the crazy the results cat as well. It's just like you win. It's cool. I love it. I'm real excited about it. But there's still no word, I think, on actual release date. Because it's Nintendo. But
you think it's this year then, or no?
I don't think it's this year. I don't think it's this year. I don't think they've probably got the mechanics down, but I think they've only really shown maybe 2 maps thus far.
Right.
So there's probably content to do now.
Yeah.
Still, that's cool. Another reason to have the Wii U.
Definitely.
So what else did we see?
At the Ninja booth.
Yeah.
Well, we queued up to see a bit of Sonic, but it looks so.
But my God, that demo took so long to actually for people to play, and it looks. All right. I'm setting myself up for the biggest disappointment category here for the Game of the Year awards, but it looks pants. And this is coming from a Sonic fan, man. I'm used to some pants on my Sonic, or a lack of pants on my Sonic. Doesn't wear pants.
This is super pants.
Super pants. It's weird because you were immediately. You hadn't seen a Sonic game running at 30 frames, I don't think, before.
No.
So that's happened plenty of times in the past, but like to you, that was just like, what? How is this? What is this? You can't play this.
It just looks so weird when you're running so fast and everything seems so like in comparison to like all these better looking games on the Wii U that was playing right next to it. It's
juxtaposed with like it was right next to Captain Toad and Yoshi's Woolly World in the setup, which are beautiful looking games running at 60, and and behind it is Splatoon, which is a great looking game running at 60, and you've got on the screen you've got Smash Brothers and Mario Kart, which are great looking games running at 60, and then you've got Sonic Boom looking like garbage. It's like, such a disappointment. It's like the running stage looked fine in terms of its layout and its structure. It was a simple thing, but they seem to have got that okay. But man, the rest of it, what is going on?
And it was like there was a sort of boss thing that was like it was like a giant spider that somehow was chasing Sonic, like that was faster than Sonic, basically. Just thought it was a bit.
Well, he seemed to be running slower during that segment.
Right, so Sonic slows down.
We've just seen you running really fast, so why are you now running just fast enough to stay ahead of this?
You have to fight it.
But you didn't. You just got to the end of the segment, and then a big door closed, in which this one seemed to stop it. And then you seem to be in another puzzle room, and it's like, and the combat looked super clunky. As far as I can tell, you just push one button and like you do kick, but the way it moved was janky looking. I don't know. It's from what I've seen of the writing, that's the one thing that actually seems to stand out here. Is a sort of if you look at it through the glasses of okay, this is a kids show tie-in. The writing seems okay. Seems kind of cool, but blah as a game, blah, and that's real disappointing from ex Naughty Dog people, ex Jack and Daxter guys. There's a lot. I can see some Daxter in it, but not as good.
I saw a video this morning that showed a little tiny bit of the 3DS version, and that just looks like another 3DS Sonic game, so that might be the good one this time.
Oh, does it? Oh, what? So it's
just like a 2D side-scrolling running through the level thing, or at least that little bit of it they showed.
Huh. Let's hope. Oh, yeah, in fairness, that's all I've seen of the 3DS one, is like them showing like 2D segments.
Yeah.
So maybe 3DS is the good one.
I'm sure it won't be that good, though.
No. The recent ones, it's weird. It's like I had such high hopes for this, and that's
did you really though? I mean, because it was a Western development.
It's not really attached to Sonic Team. Sonic Team is the one with the track record here. It's like take Sonic, give it to someone completely separate.
Yeah,
and
it's a good concept.
You can but hope.
It doesn't look that like it's not developed by Sonic Team. I mean, I know it had, they were trying to differentiate their visual style, right, a little bit by having the weird snood costumes and stuff. But to me, it looks the same as any of the bad Sonic games.
I'll tell you what, it reminds me of PS2 era adventure games. Sort of action adventure platformers. Like it doesn't feel like it's come with the times at all.
Right.
If you took like the initial Jack and Daxter games, it's probably just that, really. And not that Jack and Daxter were bad games, but it feels like a throwback, or it looks like a throwback. It's like I've done all this before.
You certainly have, Rob.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess I have done all this before. I played fucking Werehog. But
you played 06.
Yeah. All the way through.
And then apparently forgot everything about it.
Yeah. I really did shun that one from memory.
Are you guys going to do a video of that one?
Or Sonic 06? Well, maybe.
Can't really.
Oh, yeah, you can't, yeah.
I haven't got a capture set up for it.
Yeah, okay, sorry.
We probably could sort that out, though. Well, it's hindered by the fact that my 360 is obviously the first one.
Right.
So it doesn't have HDMI.
Yeah, fair enough. My one hasn't got it either.
Really annoying. What else we got? So we saw some. As I said, like Captain Toad, I didn't really understand what was going on there because I don't know how that minigame works exactly. But it looks real nice, visually kind of pretty.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool. It depends. I mean, if they're going to charge like 45 quid for it, it'll be ridiculous. But I mean, it's a cool game.
Maybe. Yeah, depends what bracket it fills. But that's due out soon.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
And they also had Yoshi's Woolly World on display, and man, that is a good looking game.
Yeah, it looks really good.
The sort of wool looks tangible.
I prefer the wool to the.
Does it play well? That's important.
Well, it looks like it just plays like a Yoshi game.
Yeah, but does it play like the most recent one where it was slow and shitty, or does it play like a pro one where it's like actually fast and difficult?
We didn't actually play it. Well, I didn't. Did you?
No, the queue was kind of long. I think Jam managed to get a go of it, but I didn't talk to her about it, so I don't. So yeah, got no knowledge there, but it looks real nice. But mechanically, it just looks identical to a Yoshi game. If you like Yoshi games, this is going to be pretty good by the look. And we did watch Jam play the Kirby game, the clay magic marker, whatever it's called. What are those games called? Like the Canvas Curse was the DS one. And yeah, whatever the fuck this one's called, made of clay. Again, that's a real nice look to it. I don't think the clay works as well as the wool.
No, I don't think so.
Because they've sort of gone for the stop motion look to some of it, so things animate jerkily intentionally. I think either that or lazily, one of the two. However you want to look at it. But to me, I felt it. They were intentionally making things sort of like not animate smoothly to make it look a bit more Wallace and Gromit, I guess. I don't know.
Right.
But they've gone all in with that look, and it does work. It's just not as pretty as wool. And I think Jam was getting real confused with how the mechanics work. And as a bystander and having played a bit of Canvas Curse, I was sort of looking at it going, but you just do this, and then you can do that, and then you can do this, and it's like I was backseat gaming real badly.
Well, it's understandable if you haven't got much time and you're trying to try it out. You need to know a few things.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, the queues were getting pretty long because it was a lot busier than last year. It felt I couldn't just sneak onto consoles like I did last year with things. That was how I played Lost World, and that was how I got led down Sonic Lost World, and that was how I got led down a bad path because it was just like, I could just sneak onto this, and there was just less of that this year. You had to queue for everything.
It was pretty busy, but I hadn't seen the previous. Slightly less manic event. Yeah,
I mean, it was. Yeah, I mean, there were still plenty of queues last year for the big guns. Like we queued for a while to play Watch Dogs, and the COD queue I think was even bigger than it was this year. But and Battlefield 4, and Titanfall. Man, those queues were massive. I think Kipper said he waited 3 hours to play Titanfall last year.
Really? Jeez.
Yeah, I didn't. I went off and did other things.
We didn't wait that long for anything, really. I mean, the line says, oh, you're waiting 45 minutes from here, but I don't think it really was for the ones
we waited quite a while for COD. We reckon that might have taken us 2 hours. But
yeah, that was probably most of your morning.
Yeah. So what else did we do? We went and played the Survivor mode of Alien Isolation, which is out now, isn't it?
I believe it's just come out. Yeah, the reviews are out.
Man, those reviews are all over the place. Like, some people really love it, and others really don't.
Well, the people that I trust seem to really like it.
IGN was the most surprisingly lowest.
Right, well, I don't trust IGN at all for anything.
Fair enough. I generally don't pay attention to them either. But it's not because I don't have a trust issue, but that's not one of my preferred.
Yeah.
And their style is off to me. But
yeah. Doesn't work for me. Well, what I've seen is criticism-wise is that it's so long that the plotting goes a bit wrong towards the end, and it gets a bit it's a bit slow at the end. which kind of sounds like a shame, especially since it was going so well. But anyway, we can't speak to that yet, but we can speak to the weird survivor mode anyway.
Yeah. That shit was hard as fucking nails.
Really hard.
You get 10 minutes, and it's basically like, here, get from one side of this part of the spacecraft to the other. And we got as many runs as we could fit in that time. But you basically don't have anything other than hiding and basically 2 shots with a flamethrower that might buy you some time to get away.
I think that's the case in the actual game. I don't think you can't kill the alien, basically.
No. Yeah, the alien's unstoppable. But I found that it's all right. Good points. Damn, they've nailed the look and the atmosphere. That's a real pretty looking thing. And we were playing the X-Bone version, and like just the way you held up the motion tracker and the oscilloscope look of the dots on the tracker, it's like, oh man, this is a real good looking game.
Yeah, it looks cool. The alien looks cool as well.
Great. The alien looks awesome. If you
the shadows and stuff.
You just catch a glimpse of it from afar, and you're like, "Oh fuck!" You know exactly what it is, and it's moving so awesome.
Like, it's so big as well in the corridors massive. And stuff.
So yeah, all of that they got absolutely right. But this is not going to be a game for me. I do not get on with that sort of unpredictable AI. Nature where you're trying to outsmart something and it's like, I don't know, you just can't predict it. Like then I tried everything, I'm sure, during that demo. It's like, okay, let's go hide in this closet for a bit until he walks away from me, and it's like, okay, is he going away? I think he's going away. Oh shit, no, he's coming real close from somewhere else. I'll just stay in the closet.
Right.
When am I supposed to come out of the closet? And then so I tried a different route at the same time. I went into some vents, and it's like, let's go in these vents. He won't know I'm here. And it's like one of the vents had a door in it that I think opened and alerted into my position. It's like, okay, I'm just not going to move for a bit. And then it sort of wandered past the vent in front, and it's like, oh, I think I got away with that. And then it would just jump scare you.
Right.
And just sort of appeared in the vent and grabbed you, and it's like, well, I'm fucked. Can't do anything here. It's like, and that basically happened whatever route I took. It would like, I would go some way, but it would conveniently just change direction at the wrong moment and always see me.
Right, and hit you off at the pass. Yeah, that's the trouble.
I've never been that good at stealth games anyway, and this is
sounds like you're doing all right. I think it was really hard to get to the end, so I think you were probably doing okay.
Yeah,
I know you got.
I know, but I was getting quite. I did do my throw my hand up gesture several times during that demo, just going, "Oh, come on!"
Yeah,
it winds me up in the wrong way.
I'm thinking that you'll be. I mean, I don't think it is a game for you. I think you're right, but I think if you, in general, I think it'll be like, I don't know what a good analogy is, but I think if you played the campaign, you'll be much more prepared for the survivor mode.
Oh,
thing.
sure,
I think that would be like a distilled. I think that's like, it's like as if they were demoing Arkham Asylum and they put you into like halfway through the challenge arenas and like, here's the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
and also the impact alone, and it's super awesome.
Yeah, it looks so good.
Although it was one of those demos, and this was a recurring theme.
Yeah.
Like, up to this point, we'd kind of avoided it. But everything from here on suffered from terrible demo setup situation.
Yeah,
where no one seems to know how.
Terrible.
Yeah, whoever they get to set up their screens doesn't know what the fuck they're doing. Like, they just had all the post-processing turned on and all the motion smoothing turned on, which makes input lag like a good half a second.
It was terrible. Yeah, I didn't actually know what it was because I don't think I've ever played a game that had that much input lag.
Yeah, it's appalling when you know it's there.
Right. Because I thought there was something wrong with the controls or something, or that like maybe that I initially thought, well, maybe this is how the game works or something, or this is how you turn in this game. Like it has some weird thing.
It's weird because at first I sort of thought, oh man, this feels like what does this remind me of? Oh shit, this reminds me of how Killzone 2 felt.
Right.
And it's like, I know, and then I quickly realized, oh no, it's just input lag. There is actually a significant delay. It's not like a swing feel. It's like
Anyway.
Yeah.
That's nothing on the game itself. It's just they should set up show off their game to the best.
this happened all over the place. Whenever they had a big screen, it was not set up correctly. They didn't get it right. Microsoft didn't get it right. Like the Xbox booth didn't get it right at all. And it's common. Well, I saw it last year as well, and it's if you're going to demo your game and you're supposed to be trying to sell people on it, demo it right, for crying out loud.
Yeah,
it's inexcusable.
So I don't know if I will jump at the chance to get I don't know. It just seems like it'll be quite stressful. Like kind of like you had a kind of a stressful time with The Last of Us, even though it's a great game, but I mean it's quite a slog.
Yeah, it didn't necessarily put me in the best mood while playing it, and I'm not sure I like that.
Right. Yeah. So I think that'll be a similar thing with Alien Isolation, but I think I'll probably get it.
I know exactly what they're going for, and some people really appreciate that feeling, but I kind of like games for the escapism thing, the kind of feel-good factor. That's why I play them, and it's because
this isn't making you powerful. This is making you as unpowerful as possible, basically.
Yeah. I'm not sure I get on with that too much. It's like that's the reason why I don't play scary games. Like I'm not sure that's probably the reason I wouldn't play something like PT or. I just I don't see that. I don't see the. But many people do. So who am I? I'm always going to be a bad judge of those games. So.
I mean, if you're a fan of Alien, the first film, and you like games, then it seems like a bit of a no-brainer, really. I mean, because it is that film, kind of that first film, not the second one at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So maybe you'll hear from Dan later for this.
Yeah, I'm still more jazzed about Elite. I think Elite's my main one, but Alien comes out sooner.
So what else we get to? I wandered up through. I suppose we checked out Rezzed next, which is their sort of indie section.
Mm-hmm.
And I played a few things up there. I had wanted to get some hands-on time with Gang Beasts. Because I'm not in the early access version because early access, and everyone's been raving about it being a right laugh. It's like. It seems to be it's going to be one of those games that you have to play to understand because the crowd was massive and like around in this incredibly cramped bit of the bit of setup.
I don't think
Gang Beasts only had like one screen set up for it on a row of 4 other people, and they just hadn't expected it to get such a tension.
They hadn't anticipated that one very well. Yeah.
And everyone playing it seemed to be having a right blast, but for us watching it, it's just like, what the fuck's going on? It's like, it's not that it moves very fast or anything like that, but I think most of the hilarity must come in the way it controls.
Yeah, I think so. There was sort of combination of the weird physics and stuff. I mean, like I saw the Giant Bomb quick look of it now, and that pretty much explains why people are going crazy about it. Like you can just kind of see after a bit of footage of like how weirdly it controls and stuff, and how weirdly the grabs work, and how when you got knocked out, it's like how long it takes you to get back up and all that weirdness. It's like it's weird. It's a weird game, but I think it'd definitely be fun.
Yeah, it's kind of entertaining. Happy Salad versus.
It's definitely part of that trend for local multiplayer. It's back.
So what else did we see up there? There's a lot of weird and wonderful things. I tried playing Poncho, but I think did we hit the glitch? Oh, I saw someone hit the glitch. They had unfortunately come across a crash bug, which was giving them all kinds of headaches. So there were like post-its on all the machines saying, "Please don't do this at this point. It breaks."
Yeah.
We saw one guy do it, and it just locks the game up basically. I really like the art style of that game, and they're trying to do it's basically like just a puzzle platformer, but with Little Big Planet style plane shifting, so you move in and out of the screen and to do things. And I like the art direction they're going with that. It's pixel art, but it's kind of reminiscent of Fez in some ways, and but I don't know if that mechanic is going to be enough to carry it, and we didn't see enough of the demo to really make a judgment there. I played a little game called Octahedron, which seems to be trying to be a very abstract puzzle. Again, sort of it's a platform. I'm not sure I'd call it a puzzle platform. It's more like just like, can you get to the top? Was the demo. But there's like their interface. There's like no words. There's no numbers or anything. It's all just symbols and squares and stuff. So like from an aesthetic point of view, it's pretty cool, and it's got this nice sort of thumping, trancey house beat going on in the sound, which I found really cool. It fits the sort of Geometry Wars like neon aesthetic really well, and it's but the gameplay I found actually really quite frustrating.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Basically, the idea is you can jump and you can put platforms underneath you, but you can only put 2 platforms down, and they don't last very long. Fraction of a second before you have to land on something solid, or unless you hit something that replenishes your platform bar. But some of what it was requiring you to do was real tricky, and if you died, you often went back quite a long way through the level. And I stuck at this for quite a while because I stuck with it for quite some time, and I basically got to the top. But I was trying to get everything on the level while I was going, because you can smash like light bulbs by running a platform through them as you go up, and that gives you a mysterious indicator on the abstract GUI. Just like this thing just appears, and it's like, wow, I've got to get all of those then. So I was doing what I normally do as a gamer and try and like max out the level.
Everything. Yeah, of course.
But of course, trying to do that was really, really hard, and I was just like going, "Look, fucking what?" And then you die, and you go all the way back for so far, and you have to do all that section again just to get to the bit where you fucked up, and because that bit is hard, it's like, okay, man, perhaps you need more checkpoints.
Yeah, I think that's the conclusion there for a start.
More checkpoints would make that game much more enjoyable. But I liked it. I liked its aesthetic. It seemed real cool.
Cool.
What else did we see or do? I'm trying to remember, because there's quite a ton of stuff up there, but I'm not sure any of it was. It wasn't like I wasn't overwhelmed with indiness like sometimes you are, and you see like, oh wow, what are they doing over here? Oh wow, what's this? It was like,
yeah, there wasn't any like super standout, like I don't know, Super Meat Boy type or like Hotline Miami or something that made you go, what the hell is that? And there wasn't anything like any kind of, I don't know, famous, like there's no The Witness or anything like that going on.
No, that wasn't there. I mean, we took a brief try at. Well, we quickly jumped on a machine that had Dream running, which is, I don't know, I think trying to go for that same sort of what are you doing here vibe, but we couldn't work out what the fuck we were doing there. So it's like, well, this doesn't make for a very good demo, does it? And quickly got bored and wandered off.
You played Oculus Rift horse racing.
Oh, I forget what was it called? It was like,
oh god, those.
Oh, I forget what that game was called. But it's like, apparently, according to the guy who seemed quite enthusiastic about it, it's a fairly in-depth horse racing management sim.
Right.
Like, apparently, it's been in development for like a decade, and but the bit they were showing off was just like, oh, we just added this dumb Oculus thing to it, so in the middle of a race, you can be the jockey if you want.
You can't actually control it, can you? It's just
there was simple control. Like you couldn't really steer very well, and the only real control you had was like, oh hey, just push up now to make it like go into whip mode or something.
Whip mode.
But the Oculus was cool. I had that, as it always is. I had that thing like you did though, where you sort of look. It's too natural sometimes how you respond to that. To having that thing on your head. Like, so I looked down in the world trying to find the keys or whatever I was supposed to be pushing, or the joypad or something. And it didn't register in my mind when I couldn't see what I was trying to look down and see, if that makes sense. I saw the horse and I was like, well, yeah, because I'm on a horse. I didn't see the fact that I didn't see a controller didn't seem weird to me, and I was like, "What just happened?"
Yeah,
I felt really confused after I realized what just happened. It was like, "What? How did I make that mistake?"
It's cool how it tricks you. I don't know.
Yeah.
You get used to it super quick. I thought it would be really disorienting for. I bet if there is I bet when I play a game where you can actually move around or whatever independently, the first-person game, that's gonna mess with my head. But I mean,
it gets
game where
if you're playing something where you walk around and stuff like that, you expect to feel the. And Kipper said that about when he Oculused it with Frontier, with Elite, sorry,
right.
That to a certain extent, your body, when you're putting it under mass motion, your body expects to feel some of it.
Right. Yeah.
When you're immersed in it, and you just don't, and it's that feels slightly odd. You end up leaning all over the place. Like last year, I tried playing. I think it's an adventure game called Montague's Mount, wearing an Oculus, and as I'm walking around the environment, or if I turn sharply with the mouse, or no controller. Sorry, it was a controller, not a mouse. Then it's just like, whoa, okay, well, what this feels weird. And I was standing up while doing it, and it's like, and apparently I was swaying all over the place.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yes, we did that. We checked out some sort of miniature game making thing that some guy was trying to put together, kind of reminiscent of old Click Team stuff, and we were like, oh wow, this is a hell of an endeavor you're giving yourself here, but good luck.
Yeah, he seemed like a nice guy.
Yeah. I think he knew what he was undertaking, and seemed a bit humble. It's like, okay, this is nowhere near completion, but so we're putting some basics together to
check out the concept.
Yeah. And I think he understood the gravity of what he was trying to do. So that was kind of cool. I forget what that tool was called though, which is annoying. But it was in the Sega sponsored Left Field collection, which is a great name for a section. So to the point where the games were so under the radar or so early that people were writing what the games were on the white walls behind them. Yeah,
to try and explain like there was one that we played which was like Flappy Bird, but you were the walls, and it was controlled with those motorized motorized mixing desk sliders. So that was kind of cool.
That was real awesome. I liked that a lot.
It was really hard as well.
Yeah,
but then Flappy Bird is really hard, so
yeah,
it wasn't as hard as Flappy Bird.
I enjoyed that. So what else did we get done? Did we get anything else major done? I played Screamride. Forgot about that.
Well, the thing we did next was Halo, right? We haven't talked about that.
I did Halo early in the day. I mean, Screamride early in the day, and I'd forgotten about that. But
okay.
Screamride sort of came out of nowhere with a weird trailer, I think, earlier this year, saying with lots of characterized people building stuff and then screaming a lot and dying, I think, as the rides exploded and did bad stuff. And I came away from playing that going, I know exactly what you're doing here, and I've done this before in a number of other games, but never potentially in one package.
Right.
So it has a destruction mode where you're flinging a ball at buildings, and it's like, well, this is Angry Birds and Racketeer. This is the same as those games. So, fine. It's a good enough concept, but nothing new here. And then there's the roller coaster building mode, where it's which is basically the roller coaster building from Roller Coaster Tycoon. It gives you some guidelines. It's like, okay, you've got this amount of money to build a roller coaster that has these stats of nausea and excitement, and you need to make sure people don't die on it or fly out of their seats. And it's like, okay, there you go, build a coaster. So there's that. That's Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the sort of actual, I think they just called the Scream mode, which is you get a rocket-powered sled attached to a roller coaster track, and you have to try and keep it in balance and time button presses with the loops to try and get your turbo meter up so you can use it during segments where your momentum might not be as fast, to try and get a good time. It's a very sort of simple, I don't know, I guess reaction-y. It reminds me a bit like the Mario Party games where you're having to lean your minecart or whatever it is to stay on the track.
Right, yeah.
And really that's all that was. And it's this is due out in about 3 weeks' time, I think. And it's I came away with it going, well, okay, what you seem to have made is fine, it's solid, but if that's all there is, that is not a game I want to play. But I feel real bad saying that because I was being enthusiastic because I think one of the devs was talking me through it.
Yeah, so you don't want to say anything.
I sort of feel bad now, sort of saying I felt meh about the whole thing, the whole team, while I'm going, oh wow, this is like Roller Coaster Tycoon, yeah. And he's like, yeah, we wanted to try and bring some of that back, and it's like there's a full level editor and stuff for the screen mode as well, so anything you build and like other people can play, and then I start going, oh yeah, because that's why Little Big Planet is so popular, right? Because you can be both sides of the coin, you can create or you can just consume, and I'm a consumer, and and he was like, yeah, exactly. So feigned enthusiasm for what is
not.
A mediocre product, I think.
Right. Well, it's not
sorry, that guy. Sorry.
But yeah.
So we played Halo.
Yeah.
Which, again, suffered so badly from input lag.
Yeah. So this was Halo
like
2, basically, right?
Yeah, so it was Halo 2 multiplayer on Lockout, or Lockdown, as it's now called. Because they always do that. They change their names.
Which looked pretty great.
Yeah, visually, wow, that's a good-looking game. And seeing it running at 60, that changes everything.
Yeah.
I did not expect how much of an impact that would have.
Because they've always been 30, right? All the Halo
They've
games.
always been 30, yeah. Unless you played, I think Halo 1 and Halo 2 on PC, you could run at 60.
Yeah.
Halo 1 at 60 was a bad idea because the animation still ran at 30.
Mm-hmm. So it looked weird.
So it looked properly odd. And Halo 2 on PC I've never played, so I don't know how that holds up. But man, that's a good looking game. Even
that level especially
Halo 2 again. Yeah,
they did well with the
they did some great stuff with the lighting, and the guns looked good. All the effects, like the way the grenades fly through the air and they leave that little trail, it's like all of that looked great. Because it's Halo done as every Halo fan really wants to see it, I suppose.
Yeah, I think this could be. I felt quite cynical about the whole thing before, but I don't know. I think it'll be a good product. I don't know if it'd be worth getting an Xbox One for, but I mean, if you're a Halo fan,
no, you're probably right. It's not worth getting a console for, but it's like, I want it to do well because of the way they've gone into this, in the sense that the way that they've been talking about why we're bringing back Halo 2 multiplayer in such the way that we are. And they're making a big deal of and we're bringing back the old actual skill-based matchmaking system, and because I want that to take off again. The old, we've always said on this show that Halo 2 was the first to do it right, and one of the first, conveniently.
Certainly first on, yeah. Well, it was, wasn't it? Because I mean, it's not like you had good matchmaking on PC or anything.
No.
I mean,
it might have been the first to do the whole matchmaking idea at all, and less games like Mech Assault and stuff like that came out with Live had something like that. I don't know, but
yeah, that weird Mech Warrior game, right?
Yeah, was it called Mech Assault? I think it was Mech Assault.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
or Mech Assault 2 maybe. That was Live enabled. It looks real good. We sucked at it real bad.
Oh yeah, I got destroyed.
We were terrible at it. There were some guys that were good at it, but I don't understand how they were good at it with all that impact lag. Did they play it like that at home?
Maybe they just were good enough to adapt to it.
Yeah, maybe. But it's
I
bad.
just couldn't keep my usual the only thing I'm really good at in Halo is keeping, especially in that Halo 2, is keeping people in my sights while I'm spraying. I used to be quite good at that, but you just can't do it when there's too much input lag. You just get murdered.
Yeah, you can't keep up. And the moments I had was when someone dropped right in front of your face. Halo's always had that very confined FOV anyway.
Yeah.
So it always creates that little bit of what the fuck's going on? Sort of weird scramble. But it's of course, when it's lagging, I can't focus on what the fuck I'm doing. And I think both of us were having that problem whenever it happened, because the fight didn't end very fast. It was just two people sort of running around each other, going flailing melee attacks and shooting random grenades at walls. And
yeah, it wasn't going well. As soon as I got the sword, I managed to start killing people, but that's not fun. Well, I mean, it is fun, but I mean,
It's always been overpowered on Lockout is the thing. So, someone gets the sword and they win. And, there was only 4-player Slayer, which I've never thought is the strength of those games. Like 4-on-4 Team Slayer is where it's always been for me.
Definitely.
With Halo. Some of the best games I've ever had, we're always in that game mode. So
I think it looks promising.
Yeah, I'm really excited. But it's one of those games that I could wait to get because it's just stuff I've played before, and because it's a remake, we can't consider it for any of this year's Game of the Year awards, and I have to be selective at this point.
Indeed,
about what I can actually afford.
So that kind of wraps up, doesn't it? What?
Pretty much, yeah. I don't think we played anything else.
I played Project Cars in 4K in the NVIDIA booth. So that was cool. It handles quite nicely. I couldn't really tell much difference between 4K and 1440p because there was quite a bit of 1440p going on because there was a Scan Computers stall that had these absurdly high spec machines.
What was that thing called? The shark fin, was it, or something?
There was the bear. Oh, and there was the desk thing. Yeah. So
the desk. It had a high-power gaming PC with 3 Titans SLI'd together.
Well, it was that's right. I mean,
on
someone
one
had
side that was water-cooled as well, and on the other side also had a work PC built into it. And this whole table was glass-topped and a good size and everything. And apparently, it came with the monitors and everything. I think.
I think so.
As I remember,
you'd hope so for 10K.
A 10 grand piece of kit, but man, it's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Although, having actually seen a lot of 3-monitor stuff, I should have maybe given it more of a go, but it looks really weird if you're not playing it because it's so distorted, the peripheral vision stuff.
Oh yeah, sure. Well, you're not supposed to look at them directly.
No, I suppose you're not.
That's not the intention.
No.
And not the Project Cars demo that I saw where they were showing it with the 3 screens. That Project Cars obviously wasn't optimized to do it like that because there was real bad clipping on the left hand where it was just cutting straight through the bodywork of the car.
Right. Yeah.
So they obviously haven't been thinking about it, I guess. Not yet, anyway. That's probably something they can just tweak as they go along. They
did have a kind of crazy racing setup there in that scan booth with the projectors, and
that we hung about waiting to play. But then the guy running it was a bit of an asshole and let some other dude that he knew just go in front of everyone and say, "This point, well, fuck that shit."
Yeah.
But I think they were playing. That was iRacing, wasn't it? So
definitely.
But a crazy 3 projector setup with a nice wheel and a force feedback chair.
Yeah, it was the chair bouncing around that was cool, knocking people's bags off it and stuff.
Yeah, looked awesome. So that was eggs.
Eurogamer. Zach, are you still alive? I haven't heard you speak for an hour.
I have been looking over periodically to make sure he's awake.
Well, it said I was tired.
Yeah, that's why I was worried.
You better talk about what you've been playing.
Unless you want to talk about your Star Trek convention.
Yes, I attended a Star Trek convention and there was a talk with the entire TNG crew minus number 1 for some reason because he decided not to set up. Narrated by William Shatner, who was hilarious and didn't really know what he was doing and was bumbling around and asking questions trying to get questions from the audience, but of course he couldn't hear. He couldn't. I mean,
what did
they couldn't hear properly, but then they gave the microphone to a little boy, and the boy said, and Shatner said, "What's your name?" And he said, "Tom." And this totally confused Shatner. He's like, "Toby, Tom, what's your name?" It's it's Tom, you idiot. And then the whole crew of TNG going, his name's Tom. Ludicrous. And then he got stuck for 15 minutes arguing. Somebody asked that apparently there was rumors that people on the TNG set used to play practical jokes on each other, which they all denied. Apparently they never play practical jokes on each other. But the confusing part was the fact that William Shatner didn't seem to understand the concept of a practical joke. And he spent 15 minutes arguing what constituted a practical joke.
That's kind of funny.
And Marina Sirtis was having none of it, of course, because she's quite mouthy in East End, so she was
Wait.
She was good value.
Sorry,
She's
I'm not that familiar.
She's Councillor Troy, but she's she's actually really cockney. And
I had no idea.
Yeah, it's really funny. And at one point, the guy who played Worf was talking about the last film.
What does he look like without the makeup?
Well, he looks very different, I think. I don't know. He wears glasses and stuff. But he's really boring, mind-blowingly boring, which is really weird. But he was being diplomatic about the last film and saying it was a tough shoot. And Marina Sirtis was like, oh, well, let's be frank here. The director was an idiot.
What was the last film they did?
Nemesis. Wasn't it Nemesis? Oh. The one with frickin' Tom Hardy as the clone of Picard or whatever.
Oh, I don't think I've seen that one.
Oh, don't. It's not very good.
I'm trying to think what the last one I watched was. Probably First Contact, I guess.
Well, that was
the TNG ones.
Yeah, that was all right.
But, yeah. So yeah, First Contact's fine.
Yeah, First Contact's fine. And then they made 2 bad ones in a row, breaking their good bad streak.
Yeah.
Because every odd numbered one is shit. But then they broke it by making I think that's right. I think they made 2 bad ones in a row. Can't remember. Anyway.
They made a lot of Star Trek films, really, didn't they?
Yeah, there's a whole bunch. How many TNG ones are there? It's like 4 or something? And then there's tons of
Generations, Nemesis, First Contact, and the other shit one you were talking about, I guess.
Yeah.
Unless Generations is considered a shit one, is it?
I think so. Generations is definitely shit. I mean, they killed Captain Kirk by having a bridge fall on him. I mean, Generations is just dumb. Really, really dumb. And I don't know. It's kind of a missed opportunity, especially considering how good some of the 2-part episodes of TNG are with all the Borg and everything. I guess that's what they tried to do with First Contact, kind of make amends for it. But Generations was like, we've got to like bridge it and have some of the old guys turn up for no real good reason. And like,
let's lock Kirk away in this weird fantasy world of perfection where he just cuts logs all day.
Yeah, Mr. rides horses and cuts logs in the Nexus or something.
Oh yeah, that's it, the Nexus.
Yeah. Anyway, that film was bad. Anyway, so Star Trek convention, yes. I guess do anything once, right? Well, they had a bunch of like stalls and they had loads of props and they had lots of people in costume that you could get photos with and stuff, and they had some stalls, like they even had a stall for like Civilization Beyond Earth. Not that has anything to do with Star Trek, but it's like, oh, it's sci-fi, let's like sell this thing.
Yeah, okay.
That was kind of cool.
Was it actually, what kind of stall was it? Like, was there anything to see really, or was it just like, oh, pre-order the game, please? Not really.
I think you could play it there, but
cool.
It's not like it. You know, it's quite a long-winded strategy game, so you're not going to get very far, are you? It's not like Elite or something. Well, even that,
I remember the one time I went to Comic-Con, and that was like, it's basically just a giant shop.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's what it was like. It was like a giant Star Trek shop. But with and the other thing was, of course, sorry to interrupt your Comic-Con, but they had a big row at the back, which was you lined up, and they had all of the all the actors sitting.
Oh yeah,
in a
weird
huge
sort of
long row,
blankety blank style booths almost.
Yeah.
Or, no, was it Celebrity Squares, but in a row?
Kind of, all in a long row, and it was pretty impressive who they managed to get to turn up. I suppose you make quite a bit of money out of it, but I full on saw like Uhura was right there,
Oh, really? Awesome.
And most of the TNG guys. Who else? There weren't many. There were the TOS, the original series guys. There was just Uhura and Shatner, I think.
Oh, did George Takei didn't turn up then?
No, he wasn't there.
Oh.
But they had.
Oh my.
Yeah. Oh, and Jerry Ryan was there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we were waiting for. Kat wanted Shatner's autograph, so we.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so she went for the Shatner, which was fair enough. He was a bit grumpy because she hadn't she bought a quite cool print of a 60s Star Trek comic front cover, which sort of had Captain Kirk on it, but it was quite hard to tell. But anyway, she hadn't thought where it needed to be signed, and he didn't know where to write. So he was like, "Where do you want me to put it?"
She's like, "Oh, I haven't thought this far ahead."
Yeah, exactly. So she's just kind of worrying. But yeah, so it was a little bit grumpy, but worked out.
Put it on Kirk's face.
Yeah, exactly. Straight on Kirk's face.
Kirk on the Kirk. Right?
Well, that's the thing. She also bought a face mask of Kirk, and he was Kirk, and she was going to get him to sign his own forehead, but they only let you sign one thing in exchange for a token. So you had to buy a token and then hand it in.
Oh, yeah. It was
all very regimented. Yeah, it's crazy.
I don't know that system.
Yeah, and he was like the top tier in terms of cost for a token for an autograph.
Well, that sort of makes sense because he's Shatner.
Yeah, he's Shatner. So it was cool. It's very cool.
But then was Pat Stu like doing autographs as well?
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Surely he must have been pretty high up this.
I'm guessing
system.
so. Yeah, he was towards the right, so he must have been one of the more.
Man, he's such a dude. His Twitter's awesome, by the way.
Yeah, so he was being kind of cool about the talk and everything, even though Shatner was being mental. He did quite well. Although everybody did groan, he was like, somebody asked him about it being knighted and stuff, and he was like, well, I felt like very humble. I didn't feel like it was worth it. I felt like I accepted it on behalf of all these wonderful actors I've worked with, and everyone was like, oh, whatever.
So suck it up, you're a smug, weren't you?
Yeah. Well,
you're the smuggest person.
Yeah, pretty much. Anyway. So yes, Star Trek.
But he's a gentleman. He can't say that.
I did play some FTL. I can't get that Mantis shit to work. Well, I think I've started on it, and I'm like, I think I'm having a better run this time where I've saved. But the previous times, like the random number generator was totally screwing me on the teleport plan, because you start without the sensors, which is really annoying. And it takes ages to. Because you basically, tell me how to do it, Zach. Because it takes ages to kill the crew.
Is there even a sensor room, or
there is a sensor room?
Okay.
No, every ship starts with the sensor room, except this one, apparently.
Well, maybe not everyone. I don't actually remember whether they all do. But
okay, so that's really, you can buy it in a shop though, if you don't have it. So
yeah.
But I didn't know. I was having trouble trying to decide what to spend money on straight away for this tactic, because I went for the doors first as usual. I think that's probably worth it, especially when you haven't got the sensors. So it's really hard to see where, if there's a fire in an empty room, the only way you can tell is by listening for it, isn't there? I don't think there's any other way to tell the ship's on fire. If you
there's an indicator, isn't there?
Well, there is on the systems if they're on fire.
The system room, yeah.
Yeah, but if it's not, if it's just a normal room, it can just be on fire.
If an empty room's on fire, it doesn't really matter.
Well, I guess. But
it does occasionally damage hull, doesn't it?
And it can spread, can't it? If you,
I guess, yeah.
Anyway,
it's slowed by the doors. That's why you'd have the doors.
Yeah. Anyway, so I went to the doors.
On fire, it takes a long time to spread.
But I wasn't sure I'm not sure. I'm trying to. It takes ages basically because I send 2 Mantis over and they're not good enough to kill the whole crew before I need to teleport them back. Yeah. So you need 2 runs, which exposes you to quite a lot of missile damage for ages. So I didn't know what to put money into, whether to upgrade the teleporter or the. You also need to upgrade the freaking med bay, which I haven't ever upgraded on any of my previous runs because I didn't care about it. But suddenly it's really important to have them back to full strength quickly so you can get them back over there.
Well, not necessarily. It's for the first and second level of the teleporter, you can probably still have the level 1 med bay, because by the time the teleporter is ready to go again, then that's how long they take to heal up, more or less.
Yeah. So I guess you need step 2 on the teleport quickly. But the thing is,
you basically need level 2 teleporter, because level 1 teleporter is almost completely useless because
you'll suffocate.
The amount of time it takes for the teleporter to become available to teleport them back, they might actually die from combat damage before that. So you basically always need level 2 teleporters. Because
I was kiting them around the ship, when they were about to die, waiting for my freaking teleporter to recharge.
It's the only way you can cope with that, really.
So yeah, I was doing that and not having much luck. So
level 2 teleporters is the important one.
Yeah, level 2 teleporters, and then because I wasn't sure because
it's drone, obviously.
Well, yeah, if I could get to buy that, but I have to buy the sensors, and I'm running out of money basically at the start.
Need to buy the sensors.
I don't know. And what was the other thing? because you don't have much crew on your ship to go around like fixing things. Obviously you recruit as many people as you can.
You don't need. If you're going for teleporters as your main plan, then you don't need like anyone in guns for a start, obviously.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like you have like almost nothing, and like the first gun upgrade costs extra money on the Vantage ship as well. Yeah. So I left that on 0 because I thought, or on 1 or whatever you start with, because I thought, well, I'm going for the teleport plan. But actually, like, I don't know, with 1 power in guns, you can like. I managed to find
guns. All you need to do is get a bomb launcher.
Well, that's what I was doing.
You need to disable the enemy medbay. That's the only important thing.
Well, that's just it. So I managed to find an ion bomb launcher, which is really good. So I can actually bomb the room that my guys are in without hurting them. So I can actually bomb the med bay and not worry that I'm going to blow my own guys up. So that seems to be working a bit better. But anyway, I was having real trouble with it. So anyway, and this is on easy still on this one. I got quite a few times I lost crew to random events, and then I managed to let my guy suffocate or something. It's like, lame.
Yeah, I think I'd find that whole style of play a bit frustrating. It's one of the ones that might cross my boundaries.
Yeah, because apparently I was looking, and the B layout of the Mantis ship, you get like a four-man teleport room.
Yeah,
so you can like totally swamp them,
which is ridiculous. But that does. I think the B layout, you start with even less crew.
Right.
Like, I think you're in the B layout, you only start with 2. So in that layout, pretty much the first thing you have to buy is the piloting upgrade, so you can have autopilot, so you can send your entire crew to the enemy ship and just have your ship have like 50% dodge, but hope that it stay alive while you're busy fighting.
Right. Okay. Anyway, that's that. What have you been playing, Zach?
It'd be awesome if they had a mode where you could just abandon your ship and like
commandeer. Yeah. But none of the enemy ships are nearly as powerful as the ships that you have.
It'd still be awesome though. It'd be a cool tactic. It's like, well, that ship's better than my one right now. Let's have it. Let's have it. Yeah, as Dan said, what else have you been playing?
What else have I been playing? You mean any at all?
Yeah,
what else apart from none have you been playing?
Exactly.
Well, I played like quite a lot more theatre of them because I'm still fucking unlocking stuff in it. It takes goddamn forever to get. There's a whole ton of. It's mainly just the characters because there's a goddamn million of them, and you have to get the different coloured crystal shells to unlock them.
Yeah, you're telling me that about the sort of it's still that random drop system, kind of, isn't it?
Well, sort of, but the thing is, it's like the way you get the crystal shards is by going through the quest maps, and so like every time you complete a quest map, it spawns a new one. So you just generate new ones, but then if you don't get the right colours, you're just boned.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, I'll just have to play this map and not actually have any reason to play this map because I don't care about the rewards I'm getting off these bosses. It's just to spawn another map that might have the one that I colour.
So there's no way of just re-rolling it to.
No, not about playing through the map.
Yeah, that's irritating.
And it's like,
so you know what you're going to get before you reach the end of it.
You can see what the shards are, at least, not the other items that drop off bosses. And it's because I was originally hoping that there'd be like some conversion mechanism, like if you got a ton of coloured shells that you'd already completed, that you'd be able to convert them into another colour at a lower ratio or something.
That would make more sense, yeah.
But I guess that is sort of, one way to make that more important, because otherwise you could just play any old map and eventually get there. So yeah, I've nearly got all the characters now. I think I'm only missing like 2. And I'm most of the way through getting one of them. And then the other one is Sephiroth, of course, who you need black shards for, and you don't get black shards much. Although I think maybe you don't get black shards until a certain score, like your overall total score. Because I'd never seen a single black shard through the entire game. And then I randomly got a black shard off as a drop off an enemy, so that made him visible. And then after that, an actual map spawned where one of the bosses drops a black shard. So I'm like, maybe you don't actually get access to that until you've got a certain amount through the game in general or something.
Yeah, maybe.
So I'm hoping that I'll be able to, because that one map that I found that has a black shard, it only gives you one. And I'm like, well, that's good,
and
because it's a way to get one. You need 8 to unlock it. I think I've got 3 just from random drops. And also there's an item that you get that makes it so that when you kill enemies and they drop items, you're more likely to get shards, but it's still randomly coloured. So it's I used all of my stash of that item and got some shards, but then because they're random colours, it's it's another red shard. I don't need those any longer. So you don't actually get shards that you need necessarily. Although the other way you get shards is when your overall score goes up. It's at every 500 score in total, you get a random unlock, which can be either the different hit noises or different things to put on your stupid profile card or whatever. Oh, okay. But then occasionally that gives you a shard, and that seems to give you a shard only of the kinds you need.
Oh, cool.
Well, so I'm hoping once I've completed everything apart from Sephiroth, then I'll only get black shards from then on.
So, okay, regardless of doing the quest maps for the random stuff, at least there is one way of always getting...
But that's a very slow way, of course. Yeah. Considering the amount of time that I played it, compared to how many shards you get out of that. And after you go over 100,000 score, it halves the occurrence of it as well. You only get them every 1,000 points instead of every 500 points.
Cool.
So yeah, I've been unlocking a whole ton of stuff. It's really what's even surprising is that there's still other stuff other than the characters unlocking. Because it's still with that every 500 or 1,000 points, it's still I haven't got all the hit noises because there's 49 of those. And I've got 30 of them or something. It's there's a fucking, this unlock tree goes on forever.
Well, it's kind of cool in a way because it's it's a way of mitigating, there's only going to be a finite amount of content you can put in these rhythm games, I suppose. You know, you put all the music in, and once you've played all the music, what else is there to keep you coming back? But it's other than playing them in super difficulty modes and trying to master that, having an unlock tree, I suppose, or something. It's a hook basically, isn't it? It's to keep you playing it
But there's also there's the trophy for leveling everyone up to 99, which is also. I mean, I thought I was getting close to that, but then I realised that because I've been continuing to unlock characters, I'm still barely halfway through the leveling everyone to 99 because it just keeps unlocking more. Yeah. And I'm like, well, great, but I mean, there's ways that you can speed up the leveling. You can learn skills that give extra experience points, and there's items that will boost your experience points.
What does leveling the characters actually do?
Well, it levels up their actual stats, so that changes how the battle in the background goes, basically. So if you kill more of the enemies, you get more items.
I see. Right. So the higher level your dudes, the more drop potential you have.
Yeah, and then obviously their actual skills help you survive the battle as well, so you can have heals and stuff and extra damage.
So and all of that just happens automatically outside of what you're doing with the actual rhythm game.
Yeah, I mean obviously you're only doing damage to the enemy when you're succeeding, and they do damage to you when you fail. So that's so if you never miss any items, you don't need to worry about healing.
A little bit like Gitaroo Man's sort of attack defense mechanic, then in a way.
Yeah. But then, so you can level them all up to 99, and then once they get to 99, you can reset them and then basically level them up again. But the thing is that,
they go into star mode.
Well, yeah, basically, it is a star. But then they have their 4 skills, and, the different skills you can assign is limited by, some points, basically, skill points or whatever. They're called CP, and I don't remember what C stands for.
Capacity points.
Yeah, something. But then when you reset them and go
comprehension points,
probably when you reset them and you start over from level 1 again and level them up, you get 10 extra CP from the start because they max out at 50 through going from 1 to 99.
Crystal points
could be
from 13.
Oh well, there's a lot of things that are crystal in this game, various crystals and shards. So normally by the time you've reached about level 50 and leveling up a character, they've got all 50 of the points that they're going to get through that leveling set. So then when you reset and you go again and you start at 10, then your maximum is 60. So you can keep doing it over and over. Supposedly the maximum on that is 99, so you'd have to level them up 5 times.
Jeez.
So there's a lot of shit to do. I haven't decided. I think I accidentally made an awesome team on my first attempt when I was like, let's just pick some random characters who I think probably fill different roles that might work together. So you've got like Aeris as the healer.
Yeah, of course.
And then you've got Cypher, who's just good for damage. And the dude from Crystal Chronicles, who actually has a name, but it's just like, because in that game it's just like generic guys.
Yeah. Well, that game always encouraged you to name your...
Yeah, it's all customization.
Yeah.
So it's just like, dude from Crystal Chronicles, he's got quite a lot of healing as well, but he's got like some stat buffs. And then Tidus, who is, for some reason, just coincidentally, I just picked him, but it's like Tidus is apparently like the field stage specialist because he has all the skills for like making you move faster and chocobos and stuff, and extra luck from finding crap. So it's like I conveniently built this team, and it seems like it's quite a good one compared to all the other random teams that I tried. It's like I've just been making teams where it's like. The trouble is, I mainly make teams out of the games that I recognise, so I don't have anyone from like 1 to 5. I don't know who the fuck these guys are. But then, like, I made gun team for all the gun guys.
Yeah.
So that was like Barrett and Laguna.
Yeah.
And then Yuna from 10-2, when she's using her dual pistols.
Which is cool.
And then some guy from 12 who uses the gun, apparently.
Do you not have Saz?
No.
He's got guns.
I don't think he's in.
What?
No, disappointing.
No Saz Catsroy?
All you get from 13 is Lightning and Vanille and Snow and Hope. So I guess that covers the main ones.
They put Hope in instead of fucking Saz.
Yeah.
Goddamn Hope.
Ugh.
It's really dumb how, like, because of there being, like, 13-2 and 10-2, it's just like, you get the same character again, just with a different costume.
Oh,
like, here's Lightning again.
Well, so they didn't even think to put, like, Saz from either of those?
No, because from 13-2 you get Lightning.
I suppose Saz isn't really in 13-2. He's a support role.
You get Lightning, and then from or if she from Lightning Returns, she might actually think about it. The other Lightning, and then you get like Noel or whatever.
Oh right, yeah. Noel Christ.
So yeah, no Saz. It's real disappointing.
The best name of all of Final Fantasy.
And none of the other Final Fantasy 7 characters that I was thinking about either. They didn't go anything beyond Barrett, Tifa, Cloud, and Aeris. Yeah. So not even Sid.
No Biggs and Wedge.
That would be really funny if they started putting in random minor characters.
That would be awesome.
Yuffie is DLC. But who the fuck wants Yuffie?
Wait, Biggs and Wedge are in Final Fantasy?
Yeah, of course they are.
It's one of their running themes, isn't it?
Well, one of their running reused names that they kept sneaking in, like Sid.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Vanille's pretty good as a dumb name.
Vanille.
She's not a very good character, as it turns out.
She was so useful in 13 as your healer, though.
Yeah, she only has, like, average healing in this game. And, like, she's, like, average healing and average field stage skills, but not actually anything particularly useful. So I was like, oh, well, luckily she's in one of my late game poop teams.
Bring out the van full of Neils.
But I think it was just that first team that I made had a really convenient set of skills where, like, they have 2 of them have, like, big damage that triggers when a boss comes out. And then Aeris has, like, a skill that triggers when a boss comes out that dramatically reduces its defense and attack. So basically, with that team, as soon as a boss comes out, it just goes, lowers defense, kill, and hits it with 2 big hits, and that basically outright kills the boss almost every time. It's like you don't actually have to do any other hits apart from those.
Yeah, that's done. Moving on.
It's convenient.
Drop.
Although, what is annoying about that is, like, when you kill more enemies, it cycles another one in, and I think it's either 5 or 6 that it loops through, so you can have the same boss come in more than once if you get far enough through the chain.
Okay, sure.
But the trouble with that is, like, regardless of what your luck or whatever is for drops coming off of the enemies, you can only get a maximum of 6 drops off enemies in total, even if you kill more than that.
Oh, which there's actually a limit to statting up as
Well, it's not like it's like how many items. I think it seems like it's pure laziness because it's like 6 items is exactly how many you can fit in the size of the screen on the item drop window at the end of the battle.
So they couldn't be bothered to put a scroller in.
Yeah, exactly. But that kind of sucks. And it's like you only always ever get free items off the field stages because it's like as you're walking along, you encounter removal along the way and that gives you an item. And it's like there's always one in the first segment before the Chocobo section. There's always one after the Chocobo section and then you get one at the end. I say always, but that's dependent on your luck, of course. But if you've got high enough luck.
But that's where
always.
they could appear, right?
Yeah. So yeah, that kind of sucks. It kind of limits how fast... Because it's like with that Uber Elite team, like, you can get to like, I've killed 10 enemies in this fight, looped the entire chain twice through. But I've only got 6 items. Disappointing.
Ooh. Are they trying... Did you reckon it's purposefully trying to gate your progress? Or
Maybe. The other trouble is that you just get a whole bunch of items that you're never probably going to use. You get a million tons of like shit, like potions and crap. It's like
probably you can actively use mid-stage then, or
well, it's kind of weird because like if you have a potion equipped in your item slot when you're in a fight, it like automatically triggers when your health gets to a certain point.
Right.
So obviously that's not very useful if you're doing good,
or if your heal is effective, I guess.
Well, yeah, or if you have heal skills. But then you can also, if you're doing one of the maps, you can use those outside battle to just heal up, which is probably helpful for the harder ones.
Sure.
But yeah, you get a huge pile of potions, and then there's like... The trouble is you only have that one item slot for during battle. So you can't...
Oh, I see. So, and it's... Presumably it can't use more than one instance of that item.
So it's just like, what are you going to put in there apart from a potion or a Phoenix Down? Just in case if you screw up and you don't want to get kicked out of the level.
Yeah, surely a Phoenix is...
You're not going to use any of these like 15% item buffs where it's just like, oh, it gives you 15% more strength. Although you can use those from the map in the quest mode. So.
I see, right.
But even then, it's just like, that doesn't seem worthwhile even bothering to navigate through the menu for. Because it doesn't matter. It's just like, however, once you've got to the point where you can kill more than 6 enemies, you're good.
Yeah. It's interesting that in a rhythm game, we've not talked anything about the rhythm game.
There's not anything to talk about. You hit the things.
You hit the things and stuff happens.
I've been having problems lately with it detecting some of the slides, but I can't tell whether that's just me doing it wrong, because you have to actually, like, keep your stylus on the screen for the whole slide. You can't like flick it off.
Oh, I see. Right. Yeah.
You have to do quite a dramatic motion, which becomes very difficult when it's a fast, like the higher, harder level songs, where you're trying to do multiple slashes in a row.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And I also have I don't know if it's just like something that I can't manage, or whether it's like a really subtle UI thing that they maybe could have improved. But there's a lot of times where as I'm seeing an arrow coming along, I don't see the pointing part. I just see whether it's horizontal, vertical, or diagonal. So I'm going the wrong direction.
Yeah, okay.
Where it's like I'm going left instead of right. Not sure whether that's just me not seeing it or whether they could have improved the
graphic for it a bit. They probably could.
I mean, it is a white arrow on a yellow background, which isn't exactly great on contrast, I guess.
That's pretty awful. It's making me wonder, like, if they'll ever consider going back to Uenden as a DS game. Because that was cool.
Probably the other problem with it is it might be fucking up my screen.
Yeah, well, because you're bashing it.
Well, because I'm poking it so much. Might be crazy. And the trouble is, it's like, I want to... Sometimes at the start of a song, I'll be like, okay, I'm going to try and push over here on the other part of the screen that I never push. But the trouble is that just doesn't work, because your hand naturally, like... The way you're holding the 3DS and you're resting your hand on the side where the buttons are and you're holding the stylus on the screen, you're always pushing in the same place. Because that's just the natural position of your hand.
Yeah.
You can't force yourself to hit another part of the screen to try and even it out.
Well, especially if you're also tapping it depends where you're tapping in a way to, be most visible, I guess. Because if you're presumably... Oh, no, because you watch the top screen on this. It doesn't matter where
it doesn't matter where you're pushing apart from sliding up and down for the field stage thing.
Sure. It's not like Uenden where you're actually tapping targets.
No. But, there's still a limit to even how far away from the centre of the screen you can go, because you're still having to slide in all directions.
Right.
So you don't want to butt up against the edge of the screen. So yeah, might be fucking up my screen. Maybe it's like maybe it gets totally fucked by this by a new DS.
Yeah, there you go. Got an excuse then. Is there any idea when those are coming out?
No, I haven't heard anything.
Because it's not worth me getting one now, is it? Like until.
Well, not on.
There never really was, but it's like
there's plenty of reason to get a 3DS. I've got a huge pile of games that you could actually borrow at this point.
This is true. This is true.
And several of them have more than one save file, even.
What? Next gen.
Yeah.
There's an achievement in Guacamelee called Next Gen for using Save Slot 2.
Nice.
That's not even a portable game. That would make sense.
No, the reason why they've called it that is because I had to look this up actually because I got intrigued. This is about what I've been playing, I suppose. But I got intrigued about what makes the Super Turbo Championship Edition of Guacamelee the Super Turbo Championship Edition. Because I've been playing it through and there's not been anything really obvious. There's no obvious, go play the DLC option or go do this. And I was like, well, so what is different in this version? And apparently save slots were the addition. And there was only one before.
Okay.
And so in the... in this version they added slots, so they've made a stupid big deal out of it and attached an achievement to Save Slot 2.
Speaking of dumb achievements that you get for doing something that was added to a game, I got, in my Steam list, I was, looking at my activity feed, it's they got the achievement for launching Trine in the Enhanced Edition, because I played that for a minute.
Oh, right.
Or a little while, I guess. And as with what happened when I played Skyrim again last time, when I modded the shit out of it,
yeah.
I don't remember what a Trine originally looked like, so I'm like, well, this looks like Trine. I don't recognise how different it is.
It's just a slightly sharper Trine.
Because it's got all the fancy lighting or whatever, but I don't remember what it looked like originally, so I don't actually recognise it as being particularly fancy.
So is that Trine 1?
Yeah.
Okay. But they made it to look like Trine 2?
Well, they didn't really make it to look like Trine 2. I think it's mainly just lighting effects.
Right.
Like, they upgraded it with the Trine 2 lighting engine or whatever. And it's really hard to tell, because also I don't remember much about playing Trine 1, but I think maybe they added some actual changes to parts of certain bits of level.
Oh, right.
I think they've added a whole bunch of extra crates that are specifically designed to be used by the wizard as a weapon.
Oh, interesting.
Because they're heavy heavy and they're not wood, so you can't, do the usual thing like swinging off them with the feet or whatever. I think they're only there to be useful if you've only got the wizard and you need to fight something.
Yeah, because you were basically boned if you in that situation normally.
Yeah. But so I can't really remember if those were there before, but I don't recognise the style of crate they are either, like the actual physical model of it.
I can't remember enough about when I played it to know.
Yeah, I played some of that and didn't get any more achievements apart from that one for launching it, so I didn't 100% find all the experience in any of the levels again as I was going through.
I've got no real desire to go back to that game. It's I'm happy enough to go through Trine 2
at some point,
in co-op at some point. Yeah, I'm sure that'll be fine. But I don't really want to go through Trine 1 again. I'd quite happily play Trine 2.
But you can remember what Trine was like.
I guess. But I remember feeling sort of it's kind of okay about the whole thing. And that's not enough. I don't hold it in any reverence.
No, I guess.
Other than it being quite pretty.
Yeah. But now it's more pretty, in theory.
Yeah, more pretties.
And there also was a boss that I couldn't work out what the fuck I was meant to do. I don't know what. I don't remember.
There were bosses?
Yeah, I think that was another thing that I didn't remember. It was just
oh yeah, there were bosses.
Yeah.
I'm just remembering.
Well, it's just this goddamn troll thing that comes out and you're meant to hit it in the back, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fine. But I couldn't work out how you were meant to get over it easily. I mean, I suppose you could fucking conjure a crate and jump on it. But that didn't seem like it was coming at me too quickly to be able to do anything. So it's just there must be an easier way to avoid this thing and get behind it and then stab it.
Conjure's a great word. Doesn't it just sound awesome? I don't know. Something about conjure.
Okay.
Better than just sort of, I don't know, apparate.
That's a pretty good word as well.
But it's not as cool as conjure. I don't know, you can say it in that voice. It's amazing. Conjure.
Okay.
Well, what else would you have? Just make appear.
Yep. That's pretty much what that means.
Well, magic it.
Yep, magic it good.
Instantiate.
Well, I guess, but that's a shit word.
Someone, I can't remember what it was that I was watching or listening to the other day, but someone said imbibe, and I was like, yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
Consume.
Imbibe is mostly useful for drinking games where you're not allowed to say drink.
Imbibe's an awesome word.
It must have been something. It must have been some game thing where they were having a potion.
I need to conjure a potion to imbibe.
I guess I played a small amount more of Planetary Annihilation, and like a couple of games,
just to cement your thoughts.
Yeah, just to finish experimenting a few things that I wanted to experiment with. Because I decided deliberately to not use any of the super weapons one round, and then try and do that planetary invasion plan that I'd come up with. Where it was like I thought it was probably the only way to make a significant impact on invading an occupied planet, and it's like it kind of worked because I had my giant space fleet building on like a gas giant, and I don't know if it's just something that still doesn't actually work right, but the AI never sent any units to that planet. Because like they kept trying to send stuff into orbit of the other planets that I'd already occupied, but nothing ever went to the gas giant, so I just built my giant fleet there casually while I was waiting, and then flew them all at the enemy planet, so that was the distraction force. And I'm not sure whether I slipped and did it like this correctly, or whether it just happened by accident. But when I sent them over and set them to patrol the planet, they only patrolled half the planet, which is actually what I was thinking I should have done, but I don't think that was what I tried to do.
Yeah, right.
Because what you want them to do is patrol like the half of the planet that the enemy's base isn't at, because then there's no defense turrets to shoot at them.
Right.
And then you just need them there as a shield for your construction units to come in and build the orbital defense platforms and everything. So that actually worked really well. Like the whole sending the giant fleet over and then the enemy space fleet got killed, and then my construction units came in and I built all the orbital platforms, and then I built a teleporter, and then I started shoving units through. But then what happened after that was like something that I think should be a bug, but might actually be an annoying game decision, which is like, once I had the teleporter on the planet and was starting to ship units out of it, the enemy launched a nuke at the teleporter, and I thought, well, that's like maybe overkill, but fine, I guess if you've got a nuke hanging around, that makes sense. But then, like, when the nuke went off, it hit everything in space above it, so it destroyed all my orbital platforms as well.
Huh.
And I was like, that's a bit overpowered.
Yeah.
For a nuke. I mean, maybe if it's a small planet, that would sort of make sense. Like, the explosion would go up high enough. I don't know. But I highly doubt it's actually dependent on how big the planet is. So yeah, that plan works in theory, but then you get nuked. I probably could have just, like... It took quite a long time for them to actually launch the nuke, so I probably could have, like, sent a construction unit through and built an anti-nuke platform or something.
That's a lot to go through, though.
Yeah, it's a whole lot of effort. But then again, that's why there's the super weapons, I guess. You're only meant to fight on the super weapon planets.
Yeah. So then...
And then that was the other bug that happened as well, where I was trying to build the Death Star, and for some reason one of the points where you have to build the control arm got disabled somehow. Like, the icon that you're meant to attach the thing to didn't appear. So I was like, I had 4 out of 5, but I couldn't build the last one. So I was like, well, shit, that's totally boned.
Then I suppose the other, I guess this is news.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome to the news section.
Yeah.
There's the weird sort of Kickstarter that Uber have started.
Yep.
Like,
to make another
strategy game, and it's like, when no one's really sure that Planetary Annihilation is finished. It's like, what? Can't you finish this one first?
Can't you use these ideas that you've apparently come up with for the new one to put into this one somehow?
To make this one actually okay.
Better?
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. It's like we both used to hold Uber in quite high esteem after Monday Night Combat.
Yeah, but it's a very short period of time.
Yeah.
It's like after Monday Night Combat, before Super Monday Night Combat, and it just hasn't gone well from then on, really.
Oh, yeah. I can sort of see what they're trying to do with Super MNC. Like, I'm still interested on someone doing a MOBA with shooting mechanics and someone getting it.
Well, they're trying again, aren't they?
Yeah.
So there's a couple that are coming.
Oh, yeah. Battleborn is probably the one that's highest profile right now. But yeah, since then, they haven't been doing a lot of good, really. And it's like, and this last move, I don't think that's particularly endearing themselves with
No, not at all.
anyone who knows who they are.
And anyone who played Planetary Annihilation, where it's just like, you're just... Especially because of the way that they kind of shitted it out at 1.0, where it's just like, it clearly wasn't finished, really, and there was stuff that they should have put in that they haven't, and they still haven't managed to put in offline mode, which is the thing that everyone's bitching about.
It's like... you were telling me the other day about when they added Steam achievement support and stuff like that to it.
Yeah,
like,
moments before this new announcement.
Yeah.
Like they had 2 announcements in a row that pissed everyone off.
And then you were also saying the comments were just... But that's the thing, I don't feel so bad. I feel bad for them for the reaction they got when they just said, oh, hey, we've added Steam achievements, because presumably that's something they kind of... it's one of the things they always wanted to do, and they probably had a couple of guys just doing that or one guy doing it while the rest of the team is still on the game. And then for everyone to go, yeah, great, fix the game. That's
what everyone does.
I know, but it's kind of... I get irritated by that, because that's not like... I understand the people need to understand sometimes the situation that these devs are in. Not everyone is working on the one thing that needs fixing maybe at all times. It's like they'll be working on something else. Like one guy will be doing the Steam achievements.
Well,
a couple of guys might be fixing whatever the hell the community is complaining about.
Well, I think for this slightly more major type of game with a slightly more well-known studio, I guess, I think they maybe should have just held it, put it all in one patch. Had the Steam, if there was any, because they'd already seen that people had been pissed off that online mode wasn't there for, the launch edition.
I guess.
And then they'd said about, we're going to make offline mode. So obviously any other patches they were going to do after that point, people were going to bitch about it.
So what you're saying is they should have looked at what happened at SimCity and been all anything that wasn't the offline mode.
It's just going to piss people off, yeah, exactly. Because it's different for when I look at the posts and the comments about Space Engineers updates, because they do a weekly schedule, so there's always going to be an update every week, and they've stuck to that incredibly well so far. But every one of those is not going to be something someone doesn't like, because there's no way they could get all the things that people want in 1 week.
What do you even mean by offline mode? Is that for LAN games, or do you mean
you have to be connected to a server? Yeah.
Oh, what? Even when you're playing the AI?
Well, it's unlike SimCity. Apparently, in this game, the AI is run on the server side.
Oh, really? Huh? Clouding even that?
Yeah. Which can make it really bad if it's laggy, because then basically the game runs in slow motion.
Okay, sure.
Because it takes longer to calculate all the maneuvers.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But yeah, so they have this online system, but not an offline system.
That's really fascinating.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
But it also means you can't save, which kind of sucks.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I suppose they were always gunning for it being a sort of competitive.
Yeah, they weren't even really thinking about single player.
No.
So that's probably another reason why they didn't have offline.
Yeah. I guess that makes sense for the direction they were going for.
Kind of. But it didn't stop everyone being pissed.
Yep. Nothing ever does.
No. You have to put all this stuff in one big batch. Don't just because it's easy to do and put it out doesn't mean you should do it if you think people are going to be annoyed.
You mean you should just I don't know, face the a few months of people going, is it done yet? Is it done yet? And I hope they leave, so when you release your patch, no one cares.
Well, that seems to be the Starbound technique. So we're going to stop making patches now for a year, and then eventually when a new patch comes out, it will maybe be done.
All right.
Yep, apparently.
It's advice. Zach's developer advice corner. Don't do shit until you do it all at once.
Yeah.
Don't have lots of little dumps.
Unless you can do it.
Just have one big crapper.
Unless you can do it like Space Engineers, where you're at least putting something new in every time and keeping up a very regular schedule.
Don't drizzle that. You've got
dollop it on.
That's the loveliest analogy we've ever made.
It was the loveliest analogy you ever made. And even then, that's probably not true. In fact, you've made hella worse analogies.
Yeah, I'm sure I have.
So anyway, speaking of patches, I guess that the next patch in the EVE 6-week cycle happened. and seems to have gotten better than usual, I guess.
What does it do?
Not really anything particularly interesting.
News!
Nothing that I care about, that's for sure. Well, apart from... Well, I mean, there was some, patch fixes for the industry shit, and that was more or less all that I cared about, I guess. And, some new options for, I can't remember what it was. It's some kind of... Oh, they want to change the way you get notifications to, make it so they aren't all over the place any longer. Because it's sort of if you're getting notifications about stuff, sometimes it's an Eve mail, and sometimes it's a sub-window in the Eve mail where there's the notifications window.
Oh, weird.
And then sometimes it's just a pop-up, an actual on-screen box or whatever.
Yeah.
So apparently they're trying to get rid of that and all consolidate it into just one notification list that you can pop up and scroll through and see all your recent notifications.
Well,
which is probably a good idea.
That's what iOS and Windows Phone had to do.
Yep.
Notification center, bitches.
Yeah. I don't really remember anything else about that patch that was interesting. Which means it probably... I think they did some art passes for stuff in wormhole space. Oh, and I do remember one thing that was interesting. They've started doing the thing that they were trying to do for the spaceships, where they were trying to get rid of the idea of tiers, where it's instead of having just straight up ships get more powerful, they wanted them to all have specific roles,
right? Yeah,
inside a class. Apparently, they're now trying to do that with the modules as well, because it used to be you'd get the basic module, and then you get the named modules, but then you didn't even care about those because you only wanted the top one of the named modules because that just gave you the best bonus.
Sure.
So there was 3 or 4 modules in the middle there that had absolutely no reason to exist, basically.
Because nobody wanted them.
Yeah. So they're trying to get rid of that idea as well by making it so that now a lot of the modules are going to have basically the same primary bonus, but then a secondary bonus that changes with the named sets. So you can have 4 different modules that have effectively the same primary bonus, but then a different secondary thing. So one of them will be easier on the fitting, so it will use less of your CPU or whatever, and then one of them will be slightly better on actual output, but more fitting or whatever. So they're trying to make the actual set of modules more interesting and varied. But they've only done a tiny segment. They've done 5 of the different modules so far, out of the hundreds.
Kind of makes sense. It's one of those weird sort of things about Eve and I guess video games in general that doesn't really have a real world parallel, does it? It's in the real world, yeah, sure, there are things that if you're a professional and you want the very best, you would have a specific product, I guess.
Yeah.
But there's always a place for having the cheaper, less good products because of people that can't necessarily afford the super high quality stuff, I guess.
Well, it's because in the real world, stuff just doesn't randomly drop all the time.
Yeah.
But it's you're not... When you do work, you don't just get given a random selection of items as payment.
Man, that would be so cool.
That would be kind of convenient.
That's the future.
So I've actually got a new PC. It's actually an upgrade because it just randomly dropped out of my work loop.
What do you mean that would be odd? That'd be the most inconvenient thing ever. So I'm going to I've got to find out what the fuck to do with all these bananas. I've got a truck full of bananas.
Yeah, but if you think about it in games where you can sell the loot, right? But if you don't want it, but then you end up
doesn't work as much.
You get better.
You have to create a giant eBay network system that would be super hardcore. For constantly transporting all this extra loot.
There would have to be an underground network of conveyor belts so you could just drop your bananas in and they would be taken to someone who wants a banana.
You just have an instant sell all the stuff you don't want button or whatever.
Yeah, no one would buy everything though.
That's... Well, maybe they would. Maybe there's... But, people who can sell it... Del Monte might want to buy all the bananas that dropped or whatever, so they can sell it to people who really wanted them.
But that's where that system also doesn't work in the real world, because then it's the products actually come from somewhere in the real world. They aren't just spontaneously generated like they are in games. You can't just get bananas. They actually have to be grown somewhere at some point.
Because the thing is, in games, usually, if something drops that is really good, it's usually something that... Well, it's often easier to get something from drops than it is to save up and buy it, right?
Yeah,
unless you're going for elite gear, I guess.
Yeah. So you could save up for your PC upgrade or whatever, but then it suddenly drops and you're like, yes, awesome.
Now what do I do with all this money?
Spend it on something else.
Blow it on gambling.
Wait, no, you wouldn't have any money because you're not getting money any longer. You're getting drops.
Yeah.
I guess you could sell stuff from your drops for money unless it was a trade-only network.
But then how would your place of work... What would your place of work get in order to get the drops that it gives you?
Well, that's where it all falls apart.
Yeah.
It doesn't work in real life because stuff doesn't come from nothing. That's the whole...
Yeah.
I mean, even if you're thinking about EVE, where they've got their whole basis of their economy is like on player supply and demand, and it actually works, but there's still like a point where stuff comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And all the people who are like doing really top jobs and getting paid a lot, they'd always be over encumbered, and they'd be walking around, crawling around the pavements. It's like, oh, too much loot. I need to upgrade my carrying power, but I am not leveling up fast enough for the loot that I'm getting.
I need more capacity points.
Yep, capacity points.
I need more CP.
So yeah, that's EVE, I guess. And I also, in the vein of those games, I also looked into Guild Wars again to do my weekly World vs. World 5 events and get that achievement.
Has the season restarted yet? Do I need to log in?
No, it's the last week of this. Of
the lull.
I think the actual season 2. Not that you're doing the Living World or the World vs. World.
No, I'm not doing either.
You actually don't care at all.
But don't you have to log in to get it added to your book?
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
You have to log in to get the season 2 set.
Yeah.
So, yeah. This is still the trundling around the World vs. World, not doing anything.
Avoiding the trains.
I think once I looked at it, because it's the start of October meant that the monthlies reset, and I got last month's monthlies right at the end, as I tend to do, which is like I happen to have got 3 out of 4 by the end of the month, so I just have to grind out whatever the last one is. But when I started the October monthlies, and then I was in the World vs. World running around with the Zerg or whatever and shooting things, and I think I got like 50% of the monthly World vs. World player kills just from that like tiny 1 hour session. So that might be a well easy monthly achievement for the future to remember to do. Because apparently it's not difficult if you're... Well, I guess if you're actually getting into a fight, if you're just doing the stealth backcapping, then you're not actually seeing any human players. So I guess you would get it that way.
Sure.
But that's the thing that I always thought was weird about World vs. World kills, because it really just... It counts as a kill if you do any damage to someone at some point.
Oh. Cool.
So with like my engineers piercing exploding bullets, I'm doing tons of damage to everyone.
So in theory, you're getting a ton of kills.
Yeah, I'm getting like quite a lot of kills.
It's so the number of kills must be miles higher than the number of recorded deaths. Like,
well, it only counts if they actually go down and then get killed.
Okay, yeah.
But it's just because I'm hitting everyone.
Yeah.
I'm hitting a load of people, so I'm just getting credit and loot.
Get the artillery out from whatever it is that cannons are going
blat. Yeah. Although the trouble with what kind of sucks about that is that because the loot, because when you're getting loot in World vs. World, it still spawns as an item.
Yeah.
But it spawns on you.
And as one of those little bags.
As a little bag, yeah. But the trouble with that is that because I'm shooting a bunch of people and then at some point they're dying, I never notice that I've got loot because I'm running around. Yeah, so I'm always leaving like the loot bags behind as I'm strafing around the enemies or whatever. So it's like, I'm just having to sort of play constantly hitting F. So it's like, I'm probably getting loot, probably.
Yeah, they perhaps should have just made it so just...
Yeah, it should just go into your inventory.
Yeah.
I mean there's no reason for it to do that.
Why drop it at your feet? I guess it's in case you become encumbered and you need to get rid of stuff.
Yeah, that is true. I guess they'd have... But they could just, like, drop at your feet when you're encumbered.
Maybe, yeah.
If you don't have any more space.
But then who wants to deal with that shit in the middle of a fight?
Well, you don't. That's the point. Like, if you let yourself become encumbered, then that's what you're sacrificing.
Yeah. I guess that's the point of that mode, isn't it, really?
Not that you actually get any good loot from killing players. I mean, you tend to get those loot bags, so that does give you like the rare crafting materials, I guess, but not particularly fast. And then some shitty, armor and stuff that you're never going to actually use because you'll inevitably be higher spec than that. It's only greens at best that I've seen. I mean, I'm sure you probably can get yellows or whatever.
Yeah, they're proper rare anyway, aren't they? Just random yellow drops.
Yeah, unless your magic find's high enough. Like I do tend to get random yellows off NPC stuff now with fairly decent frequency, but my magic find is at like 80, which is quite high. I'm sure yours isn't like
no, mine's no
30 or something, maybe.
Yeah. 20 something, I think.
But yeah, so that's Guild Wars, still trending around, still World versus World. Only one more week of that, and then I can stop caring. And it's not like our server is going to win or anything.
Well, our server's underpopulated, isn't it?
Well, our server is among the low population ones. Yeah. And, I mean, obviously the way the World versus World like matching works, they try and match similar sized servers together. But because this is in the tournament, so you're basically going... It's 4 weeks, so you're going to fight 8 different servers. So inevitably, some of those are going to be high population because there's not that many low population servers.
Yeah.
So we won the first week, came last on the second week. And I haven't seen what the result of the third week is. It looks like we were second. But at least you still get something if you come last.
Well, you know, they've got to reward your participation, I suppose. Otherwise, it's a load of wasted time.
And actually, the rewards look like they're probably pretty good considering the effort I put in. Although it is another goddamn thing to fill up my inventory, where it's like you get these World versus World reward tickets, and it's like, fuck, why is this a physical item?
Wait, what do they even do?
You trade them in at an NPC to get, rewards.
Oh, more than I hate those fucking things. Like, when they're a physical item, at least, there should be something that, that we keep saying, like the commendations or whatever it was, that for ages would just be something that would...
Don't knock the microphone over.
Yeah, that was close. That would fill your inventory when it's like they should really just be like a currency.
Well, I mean, they did get rid of some of those. It's like the other thing you get in World vs. World, the Badges of Honor, they turned those into a wallet currency when they updated the wallet system. So it got rid of all of those.
Oh, yeah, that does.
And I had like a fucking 1,000 of those, so that was like 4 stacks.
Holy crap.
So I'm glad those got rid of, but then it's just like, here's another new goddamn thing that gives you another random ticket, and I'm probably not even going to be able to spend all of them or whatever. I'm not even sure what I'm going to buy. Because, I mean, the things that look good in that list is like, you can get like some of the Ascended accessories. And I haven't got any Ascended stuff. I mean, I could spend some of my goddamn laurels and get Ascended,
Extended
Ascended stuff. But the trouble with that is I don't really know what I want from the Ascended stuff. And I probably would just end up getting, like, generic. I mean, the accessories are like, obviously I'd go for precision power or precision condition damage because that fits with my engineer build. And then, the Ascended things have a special enhancement slot called an infusion. But I don't really care enough about those. It's like I probably just get the one that gives you more magic find. Because it's just like...
I want more stuff to go with stuff.
I don't really care about my stats that much, I guess.
Stuff for stuff.
But then, I could get, like, some of these Ascended accessories using my laurels. I could get them using these World vs. World tokens. But then what I was maybe thinking about getting with the World vs. World tokens is just, like, some goddamn obsidian shards. Because I could get a whole pile of obsidian shards. I don't have any left. And that's for, like, legendary crafting that I'm probably never going to do. It's just getting a hold of obsidian shards and stuff is so rare through any other method. This is the only one that I've seen where it's like, I can get a huge pile. So yeah, kind of disappointing.
I don't think I think I've only ever got like 1 or 2 of those.
Well, I don't even really know where they come from in general, because it's not something you can get through salvage. I mean, like...
I think I got one really early in the game for some reason.
Yeah, for some reason. I just don't know... Because I had, like, a few. I had, like, 20 or something in my storage, and I just don't know where the... I think maybe you get them from, like, the boss chests after the big bosses, potentially.
Maybe, yeah.
But yeah, it's not like ectoplasm that you can get from salvaging yellows. That's my main source of that. So I was thinking maybe I could just trade this in for a bunch of obsidian shards, but then that kind of feels like a waste when there's these other better things on offer.
Yeah.
So I'll probably just end up forgetting and have these goddamn things in my inventory forever. So yeah, that's Guild Wars. Continuing to fill up my inventory with crap.
That's pretty much what that game is.
Oh, and I also in my I guess, like, yearly give them some money maneuver.
Right.
I put some actual money in and bought some gems and got some shit off the Black Lion market.
What compelled you to do that?
Well, there was an offer on like the Black Lion introductory package, which is just like a good selection of junk. You know, like some die packs and some keys and some
cool.
boosts and that kind of stuff. Yeah. So I was like, well, I guess it's been like another year.
You should give
donate them some money.
Give them your tip.
So I got that.
I suppose if I was ever going to do that, the first thing I'd just like get another bag slot or double bank storage, I suppose.
Yeah, bank storage is the one that you want.
Yeah.
Not bag slots, that's always a waste. Because it's only one character and it's like one more bag.
Oh, is it one character? Oh, that's not good.
Yeah. Kind of sucks. Yeah. So yeah, I got the introductory package, got some keys, opened some chests, got some more stuff, you know. That was fine. But then I also decided finally to just say fuck it and buy a full set of infinite harvesting tools.
Oh, nice.
Because I was just like, I can't be bothered to keep remembering to buy these damn things.
Yeah.
Although now I've got the alternate problem of remembrance where I have to, because I've only got one set, but I want them on all my characters. So I now have like 3 slots in my bank where I just don't deposit them at the end of a session. So regardless of what character I log in, I can just pull them out and put them onto that character.
Why did you stop near a bank?
Well, yeah, I usually do. I usually end in a town.
Presumably that might not be convenient for us, I suppose. Like,
well, I can always just teleport. You can just go back to town, depending on where we end up. Most of the time, we're reasonably near a waypoint.
Unless you're near a really contested waypoint.
Yeah. So yeah, I have some infinite. Also, the other reason I decided to say fuck it and buy those infinite harvesting tools is because they finally made basically a full set that all looks the same, and that's clearly important to me in some way. So now I have flamey harvesting tools.
Oh, awesome! That's actually kind of cool.
Well, it's actually it looks kind of weird because you have. I'm sure you've seen it around plenty from other people using it, but the mining pick is like quite old because the 2 other ones are new. So the mining pick is the one that like makes a lava fountain over the mining deposit when you're mining it.
Yeah, I have seen that.
And then, but so like you have the axe, and that just like makes a little bit of flame at the bottom of the tree, which kind of doesn't look anywhere near as hardcore as that giant fountain of lava. But I guess it makes sense because you probably wouldn't want to set the fucking tree on fire while you're cutting it down.
But you're still using fire.
But then the harvesting sickle is really weird because it has a completely different animation to the normal like bend down and harvest maneuver. It's like sort of like a golf swing. You do like this ridiculous swinging motion over the thing.
It's a flaming scythe.
Yeah, it's like a scythe maneuver. But then it's like when you do the swing, like a bit of fire comes out and then it turns into a fiery bird and flies away. It's like, why?
And then there was an eagle.
Yeah, exactly. And then there was an eagle. So that looks really weird. But at least it's all fire, so it looks consistent. That's all that mattered to me.
We're overrunning.
Are we?
Significantly.
Well, I've still
way over, aren't we?
Yeah.
So fuck it.
Yeah.
Oh god. Right. I'm getting pretty hungry, by the way.
Yeah, I am too.
We just switch back to Goldwave because I can't time these things. Anyway, never mind.
So the actual thing that I played that was new this week was I gave up waiting for it to actually come out and play Prison Architect. Because that game's already going to take forever to come out.
Yeah.
And unlike Planetary Annihilation, where I was waiting for it to become a full game, I think Prison Architect's probably enough of a game as it is at the moment, probably.
But it doesn't really have... But when we were talking about it, you're not sure it really had so much... Does it have an end, or it's just...
Well, no,
just don't screw it up for as long as you can.
Yeah, that is basically it. It's like it doesn't really have an end. It's more of a sort of a
sandboxy thing.
Well, it's more the sort of progression of it is more of a challenge to yourself. It's like It's not really laid out by the game. It's like you're trying to because you can choose like what sorts of prisoners you bring in. So if you bring in like minimum security prisoners, you don't get as much money, but they barely care. They don't really do anything bad. They don't try and smuggle shit or start fights or anything. Well, not very often, anyway, if you're treating them well enough. So then, like, the challenge of the game is to sort of, you do it for yourself, of, like, bringing in the higher security, higher difficulty prisoners, basically. And so you're challenging yourself to kind of keep them under control and run your prison efficiently enough that it doesn't piss them off or whatever.
So they earn you more funding or something for having
Yeah, so the higher securities give you more money, so you can hire more guards or whatever, I guess, to cope with it. So that's sort of the challenge. But then obviously the main part of the game is actually designing the buildings, like the layouts, and thinking of the best ways to do that to make things efficient and secure.
Yeah, I've actually got a copy of that.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's okay as a game.
Do you think that like the sort of perhaps goals in a sort of theme hospital sort of style could be something they add? Or?
Well, I mean, they probably could. The trouble with that is that unlike Theme Hospital, there's only so many different things you can add to a prison. Because in Theme Hospital, it was just like more diseases.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
More different treatment rooms you had to build.
Or, different layouts of the rooms.
Yeah, or the layout, the physical limitations of the level, which I mean they could do on the map on Prison Architect to some extent, I guess. Because they already have options for like randomly generating lakes and abandoned buildings and stuff.
Okay, right, yeah.
So they could theoretically, make the layout constrained in some ways. Probably not as hard as Theme Hospital. Unless they made it, I mean, you could theoretically, I guess, go as far as making a scenario where it like gives you an outer wall layout that you have to build within instead of just giving you free terrain.
But so it is still classed as early access though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's still alpha. Yeah. So yeah, they could do something like that.
Candidate for best game that's not actually come out yet?
Probably. Well, I mean, out of how many?
Well, you got Kerbal and Starbound still on that list.
I guess. But then Kerbal would just win every time, surely.
Yeah, for like 3 years in a row.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty much.
I mean, Prison Architect is like it's. I guess what I find good about it is that it's like surprisingly solid as a game, even at this point. It's like everything seems to work pretty well. It's just maybe it isn't as complicated as it could be. And there's certain like I don't know if there's certain things that are realistic about prison that are like the way prisons work, but maybe make things too easy. Like you just stick metal detectors at the entrance to the cell block, and you find 90% of all metal items that they try to smuggle in. I mean, I guess that is realistic, but that doesn't exactly make it a challenge.
No.
There needs to be maybe more options for like getting stuff, because the way the smuggling works at the moment is there's several ways they can get stuff in. They can smuggle it in through stuff that literally comes into your prison, like food deliveries for the kitchen and stuff. Or you can have them, they can have it thrown over the fence.
Yeah.
But I mean, the throw over the fence thing can be really easy to solve if you just like have an outer fence and then have your prison laid out so that the prisoners never have any reason to go into that area. Because then it's really obvious, because it's like, oh look, there's a prisoner walking into the outer fence layer. Well, he must be going to pick up something illegal, so I'll just search him when he comes back.
Cat's making a noise.
Cat's making a lot of noise.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like that kind of smuggling system.
I'll go deal with a cat.
I mean, there's not really much you can do about that. But I mean, maybe the illegal items could be varied in some other way. Because at the moment, it's like metal is almost always weaponry, and then the things that aren't metal are basically drugs. So there's not much you can. There's only like 2 different options for that. Rob's back from dealing with his cat.
Cat is dealt with. Cat is outside.
Okay, good.
We've been running so long, Cat was getting impatient to go outside.
Clearly. So yeah, that's Prison Architect, I guess. It's okay. It's fairly good. I haven't actually, done everything in it yet, I guess. Also, it has a kind of it's sort of tutorial-esque in, like, you get grants that you can toggle, and they sort of give you, like, goals that lead you through the progression. Where it's like, build a functioning prison, and then, like, expand your prison, and then, like, unlock, like, different rooms through doing the progression of the research tree or whatever. And it's like, that's, like, fine for helping you get through it, but it's also kind of limiting when you're starting fresh. Because it's like, you pretty much have to go through that tree.
Oh, right.
Although they have kind of mitigated that in a different way, where after a certain point, like after you've got a certain number of prisoners and...
So you can't just jump straight to the big fish, is what you're saying.
Well, yeah. But they've kind of changed it where, like, once you get to a certain point, you can also just choose to sell your current prison for, like, its value. So you can just, like, basically start a new map with your current prison's value added to your starting cash.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So that's a way to, like... But you'd still have to go through the research tree again, but you just have a lot of cash to work with, so you could just do it immediately.
Just build it.
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
That's sort of an interesting way of solving that, but not, not quite good enough. I don't think. They should try and do like a theme hostile set of levels, I'm sure.
Yeah.
That seems like a logical
It does, yeah.
result of that.
Make it harder, give it some structure. That's all it needs by the sound of it.
But yeah, they're still making it functional at the moment, I guess. They just added legendary prisoners, which is an actually really dumb thing. Because they didn't like.
So they have like a name. Are they like named?
But everyone's name.
I know, but like
they all have names.
Do they have like a title?
Well, that would be funny though if they had like a nickname.
Yeah, like serial killer names or something. Like this is the Stabinator, and this is the Murderizer.
It's something they added in the last patch. Is they basically added traits that are like on top of the general like sim style needs or whatever.
Oh right, okay.
They added extra traits where it's like
this guy's a douchebag.
Yeah, this guy starts fighting all the time for no apparent reason. But then, that's fine as far as I'm concerned. They added these traits, and then like a random selection of the prisoners have traits, and then like the harder levels of prisoners have more of the traits, so they're more likely to be difficult to deal with. But then they also added legendary prisoners, where it's just like one guy who has like a lot of the traits, and that seems a bit unfair, really, because it's like he's just going to constantly cause trouble and be really hardy and murder people really easily. It's just like at that point, what are you going to do? Just kick him out?
Is it worth more to deal with, though?
No, that's the thing. He's just like a normal prisoner who just has uber stats.
You're like, oh shit, we've got a legendary.
I don't think that's fun to deal with necessarily. I mean, I suppose you could just upgrade him to like. They also added like Supermax security, so I guess you could put him into Supermax security, then build like an individual like little wing of your prison and be like, here's where all the bastards go. They can fight amongst themselves.
I really hope they add some like ingenious nicknaming system. That sounds so. Some of the combinations you could get if you just put it in a random.
Well, yeah, I'm sure they could.
That would be amazing. Just slam some words together, like, because that's pretty much what they do when they talk about like criminals on telly, isn't it? When they give them names, it's like sometimes it doesn't make a lot of sense, like the salesman.
I don't know. I think that probably does make some kind of sense in the context.
The pet farmer, scab fist.
So that one makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that one's kind of cool. He's been punching people so hard.
Yep.
Got a scabby fist.
Yeah, I'm Prison Architect is a good way to spend a lot of time again.
What would your criminal name be?
I'm too hungry and confused to think about this at the moment.
Hungry and confused. We haven't even covered me yet.
Yeah, what have you been playing? Hurry up and shit some stuff out of your mouth.
Yeah, okay, I'll be fast. I think I went back to Forza 5 quite a bit. I've not got a lot to say other than
thank God.
Other than I played some of the open wheel racer events, like IndyCar stuff mainly, and damn, that's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
like the high speedness. I guess the higher velocity makes a big difference, and it's great.
Right.
Really enjoying that at the moment. But not as much as I've been enjoying Guacamelee.
Oh, okay.
That game's fucking awesome.
Some people didn't like it that much.
Yeah, well, a lot of people I read up about it again when I was trying to figure out what was the Super Turbo Championship Edition's all about.
Yeah,
and it's like why is it called that and what it's about. Like some of the original complaints about the game were that they felt it was a bit short,
right,
for the type of game it is. But I've now 100%ed most of the map apart from the last area because I haven't technically finished it.
Right,
but it's telling me I've done everything apart from this last area. And I'm, 13 or 14 hours in? I don't think that's short. I think that's fine. But maybe it's short for 100%ing it, maybe.
Maybe.
But I don't know. I think that's totally okay. And I've had a great time trying to figure all that out. There's only been one thing that I couldn't figure out on my own, which was some switch in the forest that opened a door frickin' miles away.
Okay.
And the way that you would unless you I don't know how anyone would have figured it out. It's like it's so obscure. It's basically you have to fly for a long way and then you hit this object that doesn't look like it should be there and then you have to fall down, but you have to do it so fast and like absolutely perfect. Otherwise, and that's only just to get a glimpse of the opening you're supposed to go through closing. Right. It's like, so I would have never figured that one out on my own. Everything else I've managed, but just that one thing, it just seems, okay, that's insane. But a lot of the secrets are really cool to discover and really satisfying to find out. And there's these orb things that I still don't know what they do. I think I've only got one left to find, and it will complete this mask. And I don't know what that does. And it's like, I need to find out what this does. Potentially nothing. Yeah. And it's the writing is great in general. I love all the little jokes and stuff. Like there's one really hard challenge, like platforming challenge I was doing today, where it's like you meet a chicken like at some point and you talk to him and he's like, "Well done, you're halfway there." And I've been going for fucking ages up this thing. And it's like halfway, shit. And then the very next screen, there's a chicken that says "psych," and it's like that's the end. And it's like, hey, great. I don't know. There's little things like that where it's just like little psych outs all the time, where it's just. I don't know. I enjoy that stuff. It's dumb. What? Oh yeah. Don't say whispering journey at me. There's a lot of references to other indie titles, like as in all indie games do. Yeah. But these ones are particularly awesome in places. Like, okay, spoiler alert. I suppose it's not really. I don't know. I'm not sure. You climb this giant mountain towards the end of the game, and you see a dead person from Journey just sort of just face down in the snow, like in the back, and you're just like, oh, that's so sad. But there's tons of cool stuff like that. All of we talked about it last time, but all the like adverts in the background are like referencing games in some form. Like Strong Bad is there, the Mario is there, Castle Crashers.
Speaking of Strong Bad, guess who's back? Strong Bad.
Is he totally back? They've actually done it now, have they?
Yeah, there's a proper tune.
Kept saying they did.
It's not a Strong Bad email, but it's a tune where he's done a rap, rapping about fisheye lenses and how they make hip hop videos awesome. So check that out. And it's a full-on cheap video as well and everything with all the crappy Flash styles.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Check amazing. I must check that out. Is it done is it still done in shitty resolution vision?
Well, no, all they've done is, because it's all vector, all they've done is like added a bit of responsive, so it just made it big, yeah.
Woohoo!
And they're supposedly going to do quite, regular content, but not as regular as it used to be, but they're going to do a Halloween tune, so that's not long, is it, Halloween? So
awesome.
So they're back.
Back.
Strong Bad is back.
A cheat is to the limit.
Yep.
Exactly. Come on for hook regards.
There's filled with references. There's a few Fez references. I found a Mega Man in Brickwork.
Okay.
It's
not very subtle at all.
It's sort of. I did the number of times I'd been through that area before and hadn't noticed what it just looked like. Some exposed brickwork there until I realised, it's in the shape of Mega Man. So it's sort of in the same colours and stuff. And I found a Fez owl, and I found some Fez text at some point, which I haven't translated. But it's like, I don't know. I like all that. I like it when they do that stuff. It's cool. And like some of the challenges in the secret rooms, like a lot of the secret rooms are the stuff they added in Super Turbo Edition. And there's a whole level that they added for this edition as well. Because in the version you played, Dan, was there the volcano section where they introduced the elite enemies?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, that was so that's there in gold.
Yeah, because I got the gold one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think so.
Okay. Yeah, so maybe it's some of the challenge stuff. How about El Diablo as a chicken?
I don't remember that.
Okay, that's new.
Okay.
Oh, and Intenso, I think, is new. You get a devil trigger like mode, like where you can click the sticks and go all super powerful for a bit.
Oh, right, okay.
But yeah, I really, really love that game. It's just grabbed me in a way that I didn't expect at first. What I was saying last time, I was like, I'm not sure it sets itself up very well, and it doesn't. It doesn't introduce itself very well, I don't think.
Right.
But I just got so into it. And like once I started to get the hang of the combat system properly, I started just really having a great time of it. The only sort of thing that I still dislike about that combat system is I don't like when they do the dimensional thing in the middle of combat. So it's like there can be some people that are silhouettes and you have to swap to the other world in order to be able to damage them, but they can still damage you when they're a silhouette. And when you're in the middle of a really big fight, it's impossible to see that. So that's the only thing I think they got a little wrong. It would have been cooler if it would have been kinder on the player if the people in the other world couldn't affect you while they were in the other world.
Right.
So you had to swap between them purely for combo reasons or something. I think that would have been neater. So yeah, Guacamelee, big thumbs up from me. We're really enjoying it. The music's all great too. It's none of it's really stand out, I suppose, but it suits the game so perfectly.
Yeah, it fits in.
Yeah. Guacamelee, highly recommend. And speaking very briefly about combat, I did go back to Batman and to do some of the challengey stuff. And it's like my problems with that challenge mode still stand. It's like, or the combat in City especially still stand. It's like it's 2 parts awesome to 1 part's amazingly frustrating. So like it's just like when they start introducing many different like enemy types all at once, then it just becomes too much to handle. Especially those shock stick bastards. I hate those guys.
Yeah, it gets so over the top, doesn't it? Yeah, and the shock stick guys. I mean, it was pretty bad in the first game. I did manage.
When you're dealing with guns, it's like that's hard. But it's like the shock stick guys are super annoying because you can be in the middle of a great combo and you know that they're there and you don't want to go near them, but sometimes you'll just brush his stick or something, and it's like, oh, okay, so I really didn't intend to go anywhere near that, but free flow took me in that direction and I got hit. And it's like, and you just throw your hands up at that point and go, fuck! It's like, that's not what I want to do, you bastard. And it's like, I find that happens all too frequently when you're trying to do the challenges, where you're trying to go for those perfect runs. And it's, like, it doesn't matter so much when you're playing the story, like, to take 1 or 2 hits here and there.
Yeah, but it's when you're trying to go for the full challenge,
Yeah, when it fucks up. And I use that phrase, intentionally, because it feels like it's fucking up and not you. And it does suffer from, like, people will attack you, like, from off screen and just pop into view at the last moment. And it's like, well, I had no warning that was coming. And because the camera can't keep up with the large mobs sometimes. It's like the way it feels, and obviously the timing and everything, and like mechanically I think it's sound, but I just think there's some elements of the control don't quite work for me, and as I say, the camera problem is massive if it catches you off guard. But it's I have more fun with the challenge mode, I think, than I am with the main game. So,
oh, you really? Okay.
Yeah, I get into it. I spent like an hour doing one of the DLC challenges because they're super hard.
Yeah.
But more fun just doing the combat, I think, than anything else. And that's me done.
You also finished Alien Breed.
Oh yeah, shit! I forgot about that. Yeah,
not as much to talk about that.
No, it's not worth playing. Watch the video.
Watch our video of the first goddamn hour and a half or whatever that took.
Yeah, that game is like there's like 5 missions in that game, and we played 20% of that game on the video. It also doesn't end. The game doesn't end.
Yeah,
it's like you get to level 5 and the story just stops, and it says play Alien Breed 2. It's like basically Alien Breed 1, 2, and 3 are episodic.
Right.
But it's like, it's just that they call themselves Alien Breed 1, 2, and 3. So it's like if you bought the first one, you go, I'll see what this is like. You get to the end of it 1, and like the story's, it hasn't gone anywhere. And it's just like, no, this we've done 5 missions, you're done. So presumably 2 and 3 also have 5 missions, I guess, and change nothing.
Yes.
It's my thing. That game's the same all the way through.
Turning shit on and off.
Yeah. It's the laziest fucking design.
And we've recorded quite a few videos that are going to be coming out soon, I guess. Or maybe not that soon. Every couple of weeks, as they usually do.
Well, the Animatic Moves video has already gone up. It's on YouTube, and I posted it to Happy Salad, I think, yesterday.
Yep.
There's another Sonic Adventure video that I've got ready but need to encode and put up.
And then there's Antichamber.
There's Antichamber that we've done. Just another sort of brief look at that, going through the Steam A to Z.
Yep.
And then we're on some more randoms that we haven't yet done yet.
Well, no, not really.
We've got 2 more to go up, 2 more in the hopper, and we should probably do some Final Fantasy or something.
Of course, always. So yeah,
cool. Well, stay tuned to happysalad.net for more videos and also some more really long podcasts as well, if you're into that.
Get beat.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us. Catch us next time for more of the Saladcast stuff. And yes, indeed, watch those videos because they are pretty hilarious often. And I imagine the Alien Breed ones, especially good value, an hour and a half of a bad game. So check
I don't know
that
about
out.
that.
Okay.
It was kind of boring a lot of the time.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
You have to
if
be
you want-
entertained by us. I guess that's a very specific kind of entertainment you're looking for.
It's not that it's
indeed.
hang on, Mexican Rob's here. It's not that it's a terrible game. It's just that it's just unbelievably average. It's like it's just the most game, I guess. Like so middle of the road. It's like nothing has evolved since the Amiga, basically, other than they used the Unreal Engine and made everything explode all the time.
Okay, stop talking,
Okay.
Mexican Rob.
Yeah.
Turn the podcast off, Mexican Rob.
Bye.
Mexican Rob says bye from Mexico.